Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rux, I'm a Western Tropical Astrologer, and today we're going to be talking about your June horoscopes. June is probably going to feel a lot less intense than May, but there's also some very cool astrology happening in the sky. I think we can all breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief because May has been super intense. Eclipse season has been intense. The T-square in the sky between Jupiter, Mars in Leo, Pluto in Aquarius, second half of May has been explosive. So I think I'm not alone in saying that I'm excited for maybe a little bit of a softer, smoother month, to put it this way. Before we dive into the astrology of June, I have a few things that I would like to share with you, and those of you who are not here for the first time might have heard me say these in the past, but I do know that there are new people joining all the time, so welcome. I'm a Western Tropical Astrologer, so all the astrology on my channel follows Western Tropical Astrology. I still get questions whether this is Vedic or Western. It is Western astrology, folks. I use in my practice the whole sign house system. If you use a different house system, that is totally fine. That's completely up to you. But all my horoscopes are built with the whole sign house system in mind. And in my personal practice, I use the whole sign house system also. If you want to work with me, you can find me on my website. My website is writteninthestars-astrology.com. I am a full-time consulting astrologer. I work with clients on a day-to-day basis in this one-to-one setup. So I do personal consultations on a day-to-day basis. That is the bulk of my work. I generally am booked a month and a half in advance. So if you are looking to book your consultation, just know that the waiting time is going to be between like a month and a half. I don't book like further out in advance because I know some astrologers do that, but I prefer to also give myself and my clients a little bit of flexibility in case anything changes in our diaries and schedules and so on. If you're a first-time client, you can go to my website, writteninthestars-astrology.com, to the services section, and the option to go for is the 1 hour, 15 minutes live consultation. Now, I know that some of you might say, Rux, I've had someone else analyze my natal chart, or I'm interested in a year ahead forecast, or I want to talk about compatibility and so on. The 1 hour, 15 minutes live Zoom consultation for first-time clients is completely customizable to your needs. If you have not had your natal chart analyzed before, I always recommend starting with that. But if that's something that you have done already, we can dive into the year ahead, major themes, opportunities, potential challenges. We can also look at compatibility. We can look at astrocartography if you're looking to relocate, for instance, and you want to see how your chart gets activated in different parts around the world. If you want to dive deeper into a specific topic, such as career, for instance, we can also do that. So I am completely open and flexible in terms of utilizing the 1 hour, 15 minute session so that it addresses your needs, questions, and areas of interest. If you're an existing client, you have two additional options to go for. You have the year ahead forecast option, which has a preferential rate for existing clients because obviously you have worked with me in the past. If you have maybe a few specific questions following on from a previous session, you can also go for the 30 minutes follow-up consultation, and that's something that you can utilize as many times as you want. You don't have to use it just once, because sometimes people feel like, oh, I can only use it once. I'm like, no, you can use it as many times as you want. You can book 30 minutes follow-ups with me as many times as you would like to. And I do actually have quite a few clients that use the 30 minutes follow-up consultation regularly, either like every month or every few months, to do a check-in, to look at the months ahead, to understand the cosmic landscape that they're finding themselves in terms of the broader life chapter that they're in, the energies that they're likely to deal with, and so on. So written in the stars-astrology.com for personal consultations with me. That is the only place where you can buy my services from. That's also the place where you can buy the recorded courses that I have ran in the past for astrology students. They're not for beginners, they are for intermediate students and kind of like upwards. There's 2 courses that you can currently buy from my website: the Natal Chart Interpretation Masterclass and the Saturn Transits Masterclass. Let's go back to the astrology of June 2023, folks. What's going on this month? Mars is going to transit Leo throughout June, and Venus is going to join Mars on the 5th of June all the way until the 8th of October. So we've got a lot of romantic, passionate energy in the sign of drama and creativity and fun and displays that are very kind of like loud displays of affection. So brace yourselves, folks, romantically, for grand gestures, also for fun to be had in your romantic relationships, for maybe also a little bit of like drama for lovers to want attention, and so on. Next month, Venus is going to go retrograde, but we're going to talk about that next month. A very important aspect that Venus is forming in Leo. On the 5th of June, it's going to be opposing Pluto in Aquarius. This can be a time where, even though on a personal level, we may feel like we want a lot of attention and we want to feel important and we want to be made to feel important by our partners, we want all their like attention to be directed towards us. It may feel like broader collective issues kind of like deflect that attention to what's going on in the world. This could also be a day when secrets are revealed about partners, lovers, and so on, and it could be a little bit of a make it or break it moment for some people. The 2nd of June is a very romantic day. Venus will trine Neptune in Pisces, Venus in Cancer. Beautiful day to decorate the home, to buy nice things for the home, or to just enjoy a romantic dinner at home. 4th of June, there is going to be a full moon in Sagittarius, putting the spotlight 3 days before, 3 days after on matters connected with education and traveling, very, very likely at a collective level, but also matters connected with, I want to say, food, the economy, and maybe politics and legal developments and maybe even moral developments when it comes to these particular aspects in our lives. Why am I talking about food and the economy and the physical body also possibly? Because Jupiter, the dispositor of the full moon, is going to be in Taurus. The entire month, Jupiter connects very beautifully with Saturn and Pisces, Jupiter and Taurus with Saturn and Pisces. We're building something slowly and steadily for those that have suffered. It feels like tangible steps are being taken, maybe to deal with something connected with the oceans. It does feel like the economy could be stabilizing a little bit as well. So I'm liking this sextile very, very, very much. Jupiter also disposits of Saturn, so Saturn is kind of like doing what Jupiter tells him to do. You could say a lot of compassion and hope that translates into concrete action this month, I'd say, folks. 5th of June, I've mentioned already the opposition between Venus and Pluto. 11th of June until the 27th, Mercury transits Gemini. Mercury is at home in Gemini. Use this period to get writing projects out of the way, to read, to study, because it feels like the mind is very, very sharp. And if you need to elect a date for maybe selling something, launching a business or something like that, make the most of this transit of Mercury, folks. 15th of June, Mercury will square Saturn. There could be delays on the road, delays with deliveries, delays with communications or misunderstandings when it comes to communications because of someone being quite rigid or fearful and maybe opening their mind, I'd say. Saturn goes retrograde on the 17th of June. 18th of June, there's a new moon in Gemini, which is a little bit of a mixed bag. Matters connected with education, transportation, studies, sales, data are in the spotlight, but there's a lot of like, I want to say ambiguous or kind of like material that we're dealing with at the time of this new moon on the 18th of June. Neptune will form a square to the new moon, or it's actually the other way around. The new moon will form a square to Neptune, so we can encounter fake news, incorrect data, unclear communications, ambiguous conversations. Mercury is, however, in Gemini. Mercury rules the new moon, and it is very strong, and it's forming a sextile to Venus and Mars in Leo. So it feels like we are maybe like excited to communicate, to express ourselves, to like start studying something, start reading something, but we don't have all the data, or we don't have a very clear picture, or there's some things that are kind of like lacking clarity, I want to say, especially of an objective kind of like analytical nature. So I'm thinking here of numbers, for instance. 21st of June for the next month, the sun transits Cancer. It is Cancer season. 25th of June, Mercury squares Neptune. Prime time for lies, deceit, but also this could be a good day to maybe just kind of like utilize more our intuition and try to feel our way through things rather than try to understand data at a very concrete, rational level, because we may not be able to. I'm just going to put it out there. An explosive day, or maybe a few days, 26th of June, and also a few days before, a few days after, Mars will square Uranus. Mars-Uranus contacts are notorious for accidents, for kind of like sudden eruptions. Because we are talking about Uranus and Taurus, this could manifest as potentially like earthquakes or like the ground kind of like shaking. I wanna say. We could also experience like sudden fires around this time, very possibly. 27th of June, Mercury goes into Cancer, and I like the 29th and the 30th of June because the Sun and Mercury will harmoniously aspect Saturn. So it feels like there's a sense of clarity as to what efforts need to be made to accomplish something in the long run that is for the greater good, that is maybe of a charitable nature. It also feels like there's some sort of like victory or win on the horizon for families or matters connected with property and real estate, and it's the masses that are enjoying this victory. It's kind of like the many, not the few, I dare say. And on the 30th of June, Neptune will go retrograde in Pisces, folks. That is in a nutshell what June looks like. Now, of course, we're going to dig into the update for each of the 12 zodiac signs. Please, please, please listen to the update for your rising sign, because I do build these horoscopes with the rising sign in mind above everything else. Maybe some astrologers do it differently. This is how I work. Many astrologers actually work the way that I work. But for instance, I don't know, Susan Miller comes to mind. I know that she builds many times her horoscopes, her monthly horoscopes, with the sun in mind. I build it with the rising sign. And someone asked me why. Because most of the times people want from a horoscope clear indicators as to what life sectors are impacted or are in the spotlight that month. And that's something that you can tell from the rising sign, not from the sun sign. Just as an FYI, the sun is also very important, but for other reasons, for other purposes. And remember that this is a general horoscope. If you want a granular, accurate, in-depth forecast for you, that is done through a personal reading that you get from an astrologer such as myself. And for that, you need your natal chart. And for your natal chart, we need your date, time, and place of birth. And the time of birth is very, very important for the accuracy of the information that the astrologer can send across to you, aka me, if you decide to work with me. My dear Aries, Aries suns, and Aries risings, what does June have in store for you? Well, for starters, Mars, your chart ruler, is going to be in Leo the entire month. So it's going to be transiting your 5th house of enjoyment, of fun, of pleasure, of children, of creative self-expression the entire month. What does that tell us? It tells us that you're probably going to be very invested and put a lot of energy and actually have quite a lot on your plate when it comes to fun, enjoyable activities. You may feel really driven this month, my dear Aries, to attend parties, to engage in activities that allow you to express yourselves creatively. You may also feel very inspired creatively, but rather than working with someone else on a creative project, it may feel like you want to do it yourself. You want to not be encumbered by someone else's, let's say, slow pace. You might also feel like enjoying some maybe riskier activities when it comes to fun and feeling alive, I want to say. So could this be the month when you go, I don't know, bungee jumping, for instance? Possibly, absolutely. For those of you who have children, especially Aries risings, I do believe that your kids, or at least one of them, could be a little bit more energetic than they normally are. And it could feel like there's a lot of action on that front. Maybe they have a lot of energy to kind of like to expend. It would be a great month to engage in physical activities together with kids, maybe even competitive activities. You could go and play tennis with them, for instance. That would be a smart use of this Mars energy, because otherwise it might just feel like your kids are kind of like jumping all over the place and being, like I said, rowdier than usual. The month also kicks off with a beautiful aspect on the 2nd of June between Venus and Neptune. Venus being at the time in your 4th house of home and family life. On the 2nd of June, you may host someone at home, or you might just really enjoy spending time with your family. You could also find it in you to forgive a family member, or they could find it in them to forgive you if you have wronged them in any shape or form. It does feel like a day of unconditional love between you and family members. It could also be just like a very relaxed, chilled day at home that you decide to spend together with your partner. Venus-Neptune aspects are generally quite romantic, so if you were thinking of, I don't know, hosting a romantic dinner, this is it, my lovely Aries. The 2nd of June is the day for it. And you might actually feel the energy of the Venus-Neptune trine also the day before and the day after. So 1st of June and 3rd of June. Now on the 4th of June, active 3 days before, 3 days after, you know how I always flag this, we have a full moon activating your travel axis and your movement and education axis. The full moon is happening in your 9th house. Mercury, at the time, the messenger, is going to be conjunct Uranus in your 2nd house of income. So first and foremost, what do I recommend doing? I recommend looking back, my lovely Aries, at what was going on for you travel-wise or academically, or when it comes to legal matters, judicial legal matters and stuff like that. What was going on in your life? around the 23rd of November last year, because that's when you experienced a new moon in Sagittarius. This full moon could bring some very positive, some very auspicious news when it comes to university, when it comes to academic programs, when it comes to exams. You could finish an academic cycle in your life. You could hear news about your exams, probably positive news, probably positive and auspicious news, because Jupiter, the ruler of this full moon, is nicely aspecting Saturn. So you might feel a big sense of relief for having passed the exam, for having graduated maybe, for having been accepted to an academic program. That's very possible. Or you might feel like a big sense of relief connected with receiving your visa or your green card or something like that. You could also be planning a trip around this time or physically traveling. If you are physically traveling, it could cost you quite a bit, but you seem to have the resources to pay for it. And it does feel like money well spent. You could be spending money anyway around this time when it comes to travel matters, academic matters, or judicial matters, but you have the resources by the looks of it. And it also seems to be an expense that you believe in. You're like, yes, this is for the greater good. This is going to help me. This is going to pay off in the long run. So it is money well spent, if you ask me. The moon is going to be nicely aspecting Mars in the 5th house. So if you're traveling around this time, or if you're planning to travel, if you're buying like a package holiday and so on, you seem to be very excited about it. And it does seem to contain like a strong element of fun and personal fulfillment to it, I'd say. I'm liking this full moon. I'm very, very much liking this full moon, my dear Aries. News from abroad, from foreign lands, foreign countries is also very possible. Positive news overall, and it could be news connected with your money also. 5th of June, Venus goes into Leo in your 5th house of enjoyment. A lot of fun this month for you, my dear Aries. Sometimes maybe a little bit too much fun. Careful not to overdo it with the fun. Especially careful not to overdo it with the fun around the 26th of June, 3 days before, maybe 2 days before, 2 days after, when Mars is going to square Uranus, because it could cost you more than you thought it would cost you, the fun. But going back to the 5th of June, Venus, planet of enjoyment, of romance, of sharing. Venus is coming in your 5th house. So Venus is going to be in your 5th house in Leo until the 8th of October. This is a very kind of like, this month at least, from the 5th of June onwards, it is a very good time to go dating. If you are looking for a partner, if you're looking to get into a romantic relationship, it may feel like you're more magnetic, more attractive, and it could also feel like you want to share the enjoyment and the happiness of life and the fulfillment of life and what makes you feel alive with others, I'd say. I wouldn't be surprised if you spend quite a bit of your hard-earned cash over the next few months until the 8th of October on what makes you feel happy and what makes you feel alive, as well as your creative passions and hobbies, and possibly also on children. Now, on the 5th of June, however, in particular on this very, very day, Venus is opposing Pluto. There can be like an element of the unknown, a buried element coming to the surface, connected with a romantic situation in your life. Maybe someone who you're dating or someone who you are already involved with romantically. You might uncover something. There could also be a little bit of a power struggle, a little bit of a power challenge, and you might also feel like you want to cross a little bit of a boundary. Maybe you might want to go into a forbidden territory romantically, just putting it out there. You could have like the hots. Does anyone say that anymore? You could feel very attracted. Aries, you could feel very attracted around this time to a friend or to someone in your community and your group of people, your tribe, so to speak. But it could feel like you are stepping into forbidden territory. But who doesn't love the forbidden fruits? I mean, I think that's the whole point of it. If it's forbidden, it's even more attractive and magnetic, right? So yeah, you could experience a little bit of that. On the 11th of June, Mercury goes into Gemini in your third house, and your mind is like super sharp, and it feels like very easy to talk, to communicate, to express yourselves, dear Aries. And especially on the 11th of June, Mercury will harmoniously aspect Pluto. It feels like this is a great, great day to have a brainstorm with a group of people, with a team of people. It feels like you're reaching like a very insightful solution together with a team of people. And it also feels like you're reaching some very kind of like powerful insights about how you want to transform your life for the long run, how you want to approach your future, how you want to go about bringing your future to life, I'd say. A light bulb moment, and you could really understand something that was maybe very hard to understand up until this point. Something could click mentally for you on this day, Aries. On the 15th of June, delays on the road very possibly, or something isn't necessarily going exactly as planned, especially if you're traveling by car, train, or bike. I would not get overly frustrated, and if you need to postpone a short trip, then so be it. You could be stuck in traffic, that's possible. Mercury will square Saturn. If you're waiting for a delivery, it could be that the delivery is delayed. Also very, very possible. And you could be a little bit pessimistic on this day, maybe thinking about the worst case scenarios. 17th of June, Saturn goes retrograde in your 12th house. So you're kind of like entering a period of integrating some of the work that you've been doing on a mental health plane, on the mental health level. But it could also feel like you need to go back over some of the things that you decided you would release, especially connected with your career and your plans for the future, and maybe reevaluate whether everything needs to be discarded or maybe not yet. 18th of June, new moon in Gemini in your third house. This could be a time 3 days before, 3 days after, when you embark upon a new course, a new class, when you start learning something new, when you maybe also start communicating in a new language, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, I don't know, like French, or I don't know, like German. You could start communicating in a different way, in a new language, maybe like a technical language. Maybe it feels like you have to start learning a new technical language. You could also start commuting or doing short trips on a new route. So maybe you're gonna take your kid, I don't know, to like a new kindergarten or something like that. Very careful around this time for fake news. And for inaccurate or incorrect data or unclear communications and ambiguous conversations. Mercury, at the time of this new moon, is very nicely aspected to Venus and Mars in Leo in the 5th house. So if you are starting to learn something, you could start learning something that you're very passionate about, something that is connected with your passions and hobbies. But there does seem to be like an element that is holding you back a little bit. Maybe it's your own fear. Maybe it's a fear of like not being good enough, not being competent or skilled enough in this field. And if that's the case, I would still go ahead and do it. If you're signing any contracts around this time, any paperwork, really don't rush, if you ask me, because there could be hidden aspects, hidden elements, or elements that you just kind of like glossed over that come to kind of like bite you off the back further down the line. And who wants that? I don't think you want that, my dear Aries. So slow down if you need to like sign anything. If you are buying something around this time, which it is possible because the 3rd house is also connected with purchases, and it could be something that you're very kind of like excited about. I would spend a little bit of time with the object, and I would do my due diligence, because there might be something very unclear that is kind of like not fully in the right place. I don't know, let's say you buy a guitar, for instance. Like you buy a guitar and you're like, yes, this is so exciting. I'm looking forward to playing the guitar. And you realize actually it was broken and it was kind of like poorly like mended afterwards. But you were too excited to notice that when you bought it, in the enthusiasm, in the heat of the moment, I'd say. 19th of June, and actually the entire month of June, to be fair, but you're going to feel it especially around the 19th, a few days before, a few days after. Jupiter is sextiling Saturn in your 12th house. It feels like you're starting to slowly but surely build upon your financial security and stability, and really slowly but surely, with cautious but very kind of like steady steps, you're starting to make more money, my dear Aries, and you're starting to be a lot more confident in your talents and resources and assets after overcoming some fears that held you back. Also on the 19th of June, the Sun will square Saturn, it will square Neptune in your 12th house. Again, I repeat, it's kind of like the same piece of advice that I have when it comes to sales or purchases or buying something. Don't rush to buy something, and don't let the illusion of it looking kind of like nicely on the surface fool you, because there could be something wrong with it, but that has been like glamorously, like painted, and you can't notice it straight away. 21st of June, the Sun goes into Cancer for the next month, and it will put the spotlight on family related matters. 25th of June, slow down when it comes to writing projects, learning, studying, or communicating something. Slow down, because you don't want to confuse people. And even if you do kind of like have to like present something on this day, not everyone might understand really what you have to say. So I would check, and I would double check and confirm with them that they have taken away the information that you want them to take away from the whole presentation. 27th of June, Mercury joins the Sun in the 4th house of home. So you're thinking for roughly the next kind of like 3 weeks is also going to be very focused on home matters, family matters, maybe traveling a short distance to a different city to see family. I like the 29th of June and the 30th of June because the Sun and Mercury will harmoniously aspect Saturn in the 12th house. So it feels like on the 29th and the 30th, you're building something together with a family member at home, or you're building a stronger kind of like connection with a family member at home. You could also be helping family members get rid of something, maybe get rid of like a piece of furniture, or get rid of something that is no longer useful to them. And it's kind of like something that has been weighing very heavily on them, and you're like, yes, finally, we've gotten rid of this, and now you've got more room and more space, and so on. You could also be getting rid of something in your home, in your house. I want to say this was probably long overdue, my dear Aries. And that is June for you. Now, if you are a Taurus sun or a Taurus rising, what does June have in store for you, my dear Taurians? So first and foremost, for most of the month, Taurians, I want you to know that Jupiter, the great benefic, is going to nicely aspect Saturn and Pisces in your 11th house. So the entire month, it feels like you are growing through joint efforts, through collaborative efforts. You're growing on a personal level, and you could also be growing, I want to say, in terms of maybe like assets, and in terms of potential like resources long term. You're growing by working together with a group, a community, a team of like-minded individuals. It does feel like the efforts that you're making together with this group of people are paying off, or are very likely to pay off in the long run. So you're playing the long game. Your efforts to build a community are probably very successful. Your efforts to bring people together are probably very successful this month also. You could also be studying and learning more about yourself in a group type of setup, in an organized kind of like setup. It is a very, very, very good month, my dear Taurians, to study together with a group of people, to work together with a group of people, and to grow and to work on yourselves and to get to know yourselves better in a community environment. You seem to feel very hopeful and very supported by a group of people as well when it comes to your plans to broaden your horizons, to expand, to maybe step into kind of like new territories, both on a personal level, but maybe also when it comes to your goals for the future, I dare say, Taurus. So I absolutely love this energy. Mars, planet of action, is going to be in your house of home the entire month, fourth house of home, family, living situation. I dare say that this month, something could actually break around the house and it might need to be replaced. Especially if you ask me, around the 26th of June, maybe a couple of days before and a couple of days after, it could be something, like a gadget, it could be something electrical, it could be like a computer or something like that. It could also be something that uses heat, that maybe generates heat or fire, so I'm thinking of the oven. And it could take you a little bit by surprise, so just putting it out there, you might just need to replace it. You could also have some heated kind of like arguments and debates with family members and really feel like they're trying to impose their will upon you and you're pushing back. Especially around the 26th of June, maybe a few days before, a few days after. You may feel like family members are a little bit more combative this month or a little bit more belligerent this month, my dear Taurians. Ask yourselves, do they feel like you've crossed any of their boundaries? Also, ask yourselves, do they just want more attention or love from you? Also, ask yourselves, Taurians, is there actually something else that's bothering them and they're having these frustrated, maybe even angry reactions at you because there's something going on in the background and they don't necessarily have, let's say, like a healthy outlet for their frustration, I'd say. Those are some of the questions that I would maybe throw out there if there is any sort of issue coming up when it comes to family members this month. Let's talk about the lunations of the month, my dear Taurus. So full moon in Sagittarius on the 4th of June, a few days before, a few days after, 3 days before, 3 days after, you're probably going to feel the energy. Some very good news connected with investments, maybe connected also with taxes, debts. You could be paying off a debt. You could be receiving a tax rebate. You could be receiving positive news connected with maybe something like, I don't know, your self-assessment or like a tax return or a tax refund. If you were waiting for news connected with loans, mortgages, and stuff like that, you're probably going to get the green light around the 4th of June. It does feel like this could also be a time of positive news, auspicious news, financially for your partner, if you have a partner. It could be your life partner, it could be a business partner. You could be signing a financial deal around this time with a business partner. It does feel like it's something that will help you grow over time. If you're paying off debt around this time, which is possible, it almost feels like you're freer. You're relieved, I dare say. So I very, very much like this. You could be paying off debt connected with like home, furniture, home renovations, moving, and things like that. So I'm liking the full moon. The new moon this month is happening on the 18th of June in your second house of income. So I do believe that this new moon, 3 days before, 3 days after, can bring some positive news connected with income. Maybe a new source of income, a new beginning financially. Mercury is going to be nicely aspecting Venus and Mars in your house of home. So it does feel like you could either start generating income from home or maybe working with a family member, my dear Taurus, or maybe generating income by utilizing something that you have developed at home, that you have created at home or in your private life. Maybe something that you were doing at home anyway, and now you find a way to monetize these kind of like creative skills that you have, and maybe your tastes and your aesthetic and something that you're very kind of like passionate about, but you're passionate about it in private. It feels like you managed to like feed it into your way of earning a living. One thing, if you do start making money around this time, the new moon is going to square Neptune in the 11th house. If you are thinking of collaborating with a group of people, I would slow down before reaching an agreement with them. I would slow down and make sure that you are on the same page fully in terms of the data, the facts, the numbers that are involved in the collaboration, because Neptune can bring illusion, confusion, ambiguity, and lack of clarity. So if you are working together with someone, with like a group of people. If you are thinking of addressing a community, if you are thinking of catering to a community with your services that you offer, I would make sure that you have all the right data and all the right facts, because it does feel like something connected with this community or this group collaboration, it does feel like something is unclear. It does feel like something can be ambiguous and can generate frustration further down the line because of it, my dear Taurians. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a step back and share a few of the additional key dates of this month, Taurus. 2nd of June, a really, really enjoyable day together with a group of people. You could be having fun, going out. You could also be feeling very close and very connected with your friends and feel very loved by your friends. A great day for creative ideas that are generated maybe in communication with your tribe, with your community. You could also be feeling inspired by attending a group type of event. 5th of June, Venus enters Leo in your house of home, so you're probably going to feel very invested in beautifying the home until the 8th of October. You could also mend relationships with family members throughout this period, but especially on the 5th of June, Venus will oppose Pluto, so it may feel like you're dealing with a bit of a power struggle at home in conjunction with someone who was maybe expected to be kind of like on your side, but you discover some I don't know, like aspects about them that really kind of like take you by surprise and might make you even feel a little bit betrayed. You could have also the urge to really transform something aesthetically at home around this day. Venus is also the ruler of your 6th house, so you could feel like, okay, I need to start working on, I don't know, like redoing the office straight away, and I want to throw everything else away. I want to throw away the furniture, I want to get rid of it, and I want to do a full remodel. 15th of June, Mercury will form a tense aspect to Saturn in your 11th house. It does feel like you might be a little bit kind of like blocked in your or delayed in your tracks when it comes to your long-term goals for the future because of some financial considerations. There could also be a feeling of maybe not being very confident when it comes to talking in front of a group of people around this time. You could be feeling nervous, or you could be feeling like you don't know enough on a specific topic. I am liking. Let's see. The 29th and the 30th of June, my dear Taurians, because the Sun and Mercury in your 3rd house will harmoniously aspect Saturn in the 11th house. So these actually feel like days when you intuitively, instinctively know how to like share your ideas, how to share information, how to talk to a group of people. It feels like you're very appreciated by a group of people when exposing your ideas and when sharing your opinions. You could also feel like you're learning a lot from someone with a lot of experience. And it's kind of like really helping you see things clearly in terms of what is valuable to you and what isn't. So that you can apply that for your long-term goals, plans for the future, and so on. You can take that information and apply that when it comes to pursuing your goals for the future. You could also feel like you're very welcome within a group of people around this time. A feeling of success after hard work when it comes to writing, speaking, communicating, and maybe working on something of an intellectual nature around the 29th, 30th of June, my dear Taurians. My dear Geminis, Gemini suns and Gemini risings, what does June have in store for you? I'll tell you what. A lot of short distance travel, a lot of connecting with people, maybe meeting new people, a lot of phone calls to make, a lot of short trips to take, as I said, maybe also quite a bit of selling things, of buying things, a lot of purchases to make, a lot of errands maybe to run as well. There's a lot going on in your 3rd house, Geminis. Mars, planet of action, is going to be in your 3rd house of short distance travel, communications, neighborhood, the entire month, and Mars actually rules your sixth house of day-to-day work. So it may feel like for work, for work-related purposes, you have to put a lot of energy into connecting with people, sending messages, like being on the phone, a lot of meetings, a lot of conference calls. It could also feel like you have to put a lot of energy into learning something connected with health in general that can help you maybe be in better health altogether, my lovely Geminis. I would be very careful with one thing this month, especially around the 26th of June, maybe also 2 days before, 2 days after. Careful not to speed on the road. You could be in a rush, my apologies. You could be impatient to get to where you have to get to. I would be super, super, super extra careful around the 26th of June when Mars is going to square Uranus. So the speed could actually backfire. If you are on the road, if you are traveling, if you're in a car around the 26th of June, I would be extra careful. I would be the cautious driver if I were in your shoes, because someone could come in out of nowhere and really take you by surprise, and it can cause a little bit of an incident. I'm not saying that it's a big thing, but it can be quite inconvenient. It can be quite disruptive. Anyway, you could experience some disruption on the road around the 26th of June, maybe a few days before, a few days after. So I would be super kind of like flexible with my diary, with my schedule, and things like that. But speed is not helpful around this time. Literally, it's not helpful. There is a possibility that something might need to be replaced around the 26th of June connected with your car and connected with your preferred means of transportation. I'm thinking of something that generates heat. So I'm no mechanic. I have no idea how cars work. Literally zero clues. But something that generates heat that could be overheated could potentially need to be replaced, because otherwise it may blow up. So be careful with that, Geminis. What else is going on this month? So I've got something that you might really, really like. The entire month, but especially around the 19th of June, and maybe also the week before, the week after, Jupiter, great benefic, is harmoniously aspecting Saturn in your house of career. It feels like you are working in collaboration with someone behind the scenes to build something very tangible and long-lasting professionally. You could be sealing a behind-the-scenes deal professionally, I dare say. It could also feel like divinity, providence, God, the universe is helping you forge a long-lasting professional path that you're proud of, my dear Geminis. It feels like you're getting support in accomplishing something very hard career-wise this month, I want to say. Now, this could come in the form of a partner. It could be a business partner, but it could also be that your life partner helps you in some shape or form accomplish something. Jupiter is also the ruler of your career path, so it feels like as you're maybe preparing to leave behind a career path, you are building something that you believe is going to stand the test of time, I'd say. You could also be learning something behind the scenes from maybe someone in a position of power that helps you solidify your status professionally, I'd say, Geminis. And your partner could really be a great teacher for you this month, Geminis. I'm thinking of your life partner when it comes to handling some trickier situations in a professional sphere. So I would ask for their support and their advice this month in particular. Now, what else is going on this month? So, 2nd of June, Venus will trine Neptune in your 10th house of career. This does sound like good news professionally. You seem to be appreciated around the 2nd of June career-wise. You seem to have great relationships with those in power, with figures of authority. There could literally be some positive news of a financial nature around this time. Venus for you, my dear Geminis, is also the ruler of your 5th house. You could be working on something that is very kind of like creative and is almost like an ideal coming to reality in a professional sphere. So you could be working on a creative project or on a project professionally that you genuinely feel inspired by, and you're having
one amazing, amazing time. 4th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, a full moon activating your house of relationships. So this full moon is putting the spotlight on your partner. Your partner could have some news to share with you connected with their career, some positive news. They could maybe receive like some sort of a promotion or something like that. Or it could feel like this is a time when your partner is preparing to pivot career-wise, and that seems to be like the best decision that they can make. You could also be sealing the deal. You could be securing a partnership that is very important for your career around this time. So maybe you're entering into collaboration with someone. You're signing the contract, the agreement. You are receiving the green light on collaborating with this particular partner. It does feel very significant, and it does feel like it's turning in a much better way than maybe you thought it would turn out. This could also be a time when a business partner is leaving the partnership, but for whatever reason, that actually seems to work better for you. So if you do hear news of a business partner especially leaving, I would not fret too much. On the absolute contrary. The moon is going to be nicely aspecting Mars in the 3rd house, so it does feel like the partnership that is being kind of like sealed, or the news connected with partnerships that is kind of like taking shape around this time, is giving you a strong sense like of clarity in terms of who you need to talk to next, what you need to kind of like work on next, what you need to put your energy towards next. Very auspicious, very beneficial conversations with life partners or business partners around this time, Geminis. You're getting away with some super, super actionable steps, which I really, really, really like. 5th of June, Venus goes into your 3rd house of communications, short distance travel, until the 8th of October, because Venus is going to be retrograde in July and August and the beginning of September. And on the 5th of June, to be very, very precise, it's going to oppose Pluto in your 9th house. So Venus for you, my dear Geminis, is the ruler of your 5th house. So you could hear some challenging news connected with your children's education around this time. Maybe, I don't know, the school is closing or something of that nature. You might also need to adjust some traveling dates or reorganize your diary, your schedule. When it comes to travel plans, because there could be an element connected with legal matters and maybe connected with factors outside of your control that ask you to do this. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a great day to buy a car, to purchase a car or something like that, because there could be something hidden that is wrong with it. So just wanted to put that on your radar. It could also feel like you're encountering some really strong opposition from maybe a legal entity or someone who is very like obsessive about their way of thinking when it comes to you sharing some of the ideas, some of the creative ideas that you have around this time, Geminis. 11th of June all the way until the 27th of June, Mercury enters your 1st house. Mercury is in domicile in Gemini. You are very coherent. You're feeling very kind of like smart and witty, and you've got your words with you, and you're excited to share your ideas and to talk about what is interesting to you. And it feels like you are kind of like coming into your own throughout this period. You're very curious. Your mind is, as I said, working like fantastically throughout this entire time. I am liking the 11th of June when it comes to you finding a solution to maybe like a matter connected with academia, traveling, or a legal issue, and maybe a solution that required a lot of digging and a lot of investigating. On the 15th of June, you could be feeling a little bit slowed down or a little bit delayed in your tracks by a figure of authority. So that is a possibility. You could also feel like maybe you're not really sure what you're talking about in a career setup. You could be feeling like you've got more to learn I'd say. 18th of June, new beginning in your first house. So it may feel like you're entering a new chapter of self-growth and of self-development. Mercury, the ruler of the new moon, is very nicely aspected to Venus and Mars in your third house. So you could be feeling excited to start learning something, to start putting your time and your energy and your effort into something that you're very kind of like passionate about mentally, something that really stirs up your mind. You could be having a lot of new creative ideas and maybe start writing something around this time. But the new moon is in a tense aspect to Neptune in your house of career. If you are starting to learn something or to write something or to share your views and your ideas on a specific topic that is somehow connected with your career, I would maybe first and foremost check that your boss is on board, check that figures of authority are going to be supportive with whatever it is that you're stepping into next. And I would also maybe make peace with the fact that you might not immediately know how this new you is going to be integrated within your existing professional setup. You might not know yet. You could start learning something, or you could start writing something around this time, or you could become very, very passionate about a topic, but you might not immediately know how you can bring this into your professional life. And that could be a little bit of a source of anxiety if you ask me. But sometimes you figure things out along the way. So maybe you don't need to know everything from the very, 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 very get-go. 21st of June, the sun goes into Cancer for the next month. The spotlight is very much going to be placed on, so your mind is going to be thinking a lot about financial matters and income. 25th of June, you could be feeling like there's a little bit of a lack of clarity in communication with the boss. So I would make sure that they understood your message. I would make sure that you're on the same page and that maybe you understood their message. 26th of June, maybe a few days before, a few days after, I mentioned be careful with the car. I like the 29th and the 30th of June because it feels like you are finding some solid solutions that will help you advance for the long run career-wise. You are completing or working very successfully on something that requires a lot of mental energy and focus career-wise, but also a lot of emotional intelligence. And it might also feel like you are gaining clarity around this time as to how your talents and inner resources are going to be utilized in your professional life moving forward. A feeling of relief mentally connected with your financial stability and the context of your career around this time. There could be some positive news connected with your financial life. There could be news that, I don't know, your boss has approved your raise and things like that. That is very, very possible around this time, my dear Geminis. Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings. What is going on this month, Cancers? My fellow Cancerians, I'm a Cancer rising. In case some of you didn't know this, in case you're here for the first time, I say this all the time, and I know sometimes it is a little bit obnoxious, but I never claimed that I'm not sometimes OTT. My lovely Cancerians, Mars is going to be in your second house of income throughout the whole of this month. Please, please, please do not throw money out the window because you may feel like you want to spend everything that you have this month. You could be very quick to spend. Impulsive spending can be an issue this month, but sometimes spending more is great motivation for making more money. So you could also be in very much kind of like hustler energy, like hustler mentality and hustler energy, and kind of like be very driven to make more money, to go after like new sources of income, to ask for more money. You could ask for more money, which could very much play in your favor, I'd say, Cancerians. You could also be spending quite a bit of money on enjoyable activities, what you're passionate about, what kind of like fills up your soul, what you're really, 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 really into, and maybe what makes your inner child happy, I'd say. I love an aspect between Jupiter and Saturn this month, Cancerians. It's very strong around the 19th of June. but it's active the entire month. Jupiter is harmoniously aspecting Saturn in your 9th house. So it feels like you are excited to work together with a group of people to build a solid structure in your life that you believe in. Maybe a structure that can yield results over time in a professional sense. You could be working with a community of people on a professional project, and that may be something that really opens up new opportunities to grow career-wise moving forward. It could also feel like you're putting effort into developing yourself long-term when it comes to your career, and this effort could be of an academic nature, but it could also be connected with your belief system and with your life philosophy. So you could be examining your life philosophy, you could be examining your belief system and say, okay, this is what needs to change so that I can advance work-wise, and maybe so that I can do better on a day-to-day basis at work and feel more fulfilled, I'd say. Successful collaborations with a group of people work-wise, very possible. Traveling for work, not necessarily for pleasure, but it could be enjoyable also, is very possible. And if you are traveling for work this month, it may feel like you are forming some very strong relationships that can yield results in the long run. You might be building your friendships, and you might be building a community, and feeling very hopeful and having a lot of faith in what this community is going to bring into your life, because it is probably going to bring a lot in your life, maybe open doors, maybe help you achieve your long-term goals. So I'm liking what you're doing together with a community of people, regardless of whether you're the one building it or whether you're just like participating actively within its projects. It may also feel like you are working on your friendships this month. You're putting more effort into your friendships, and that is very, very appreciated, I'd say. You could also be setting some goals, some objectives for the future health-wise, and they might not be the easiest goals. They might not be the most accessible, but it feels like you've got a lot of faith in yourself that you can make that happen. And many times it's the number one ingredient that is necessary in order to make things happen, my lovely Cancerians. Please forgive me if I breathe a little bit funnily. I think I say this in all of my videos. I have a deviated septum, so sometimes I have difficulty breathing using just my nose, and I have to breathe through my mouth. And okay, so just wanted to get this out of the way, because I know sometimes people ask me, why do you breathe like that? That's why. I'm liking the 2nd of June, so I'm going to tell you what some of my favorite days are this month. I'm liking the 2nd of June because Venus in your 1st house is trining Neptune in the 9th house. This is a great day to have a date with a partner, maybe also the day before, the day after, to enjoy a night out at the museum, at the theater, to enjoy cultural activities, and maybe also to plan a romantic getaway, my lovely Cancerians. I'm also liking the 11th of June when Mercury is trining Pluto in your 8th house. You could be having some hidden kind of like aha moments, some behind the scenes aha moments about the way that you have been sabotaging yourself, Cancer. You could be having like a light bulb moment about your fears and maybe also about your obsessions, and realize, oh, now I can be free of this because I realize why I was in the grips of this particular obsession. I'm thinking you could also stash some money away around this time. There could be some positive news connected with investments around the 11th of June, but you might not necessarily share them with others. You might just kind of like stash the money and the news away. You're like, nope, no, thank you. I'm also very much liking the 29th and the 30th of June when the Sun and Mercury in your 1st house. So there's going to be a lot of energy focused on you, who you are, where you are headed. You may feel like you're in the spotlight from the 21st of June onwards for the next month with the Sun in your 1st house. So I like the 29th and the 30th because the Sun and Mercury are harmoniously aspecting Saturn in the 9th house. So you could have a lot of clarity as to what you want to work on for the long term when it comes to your academic path. You could also feel like you have accomplished something very important academically, or something very important connected with foreign lands, foreign countries, visas, or legal matters. Very positive news connected with legal matters, or positive news coming from foreign lands and foreign countries. There could also be some good news of a legal nature that impact your financial sector, because the sun is the ruler of your financial sector. You could also decide to commit to some sort of long-term academic project, and you're feeling very empowered by it. If you are looking for a teacher, you may feel like you have found them around this time, my dear Cancerians. Activities of an intellectual and academic nature seem to be very, very productive. 29th, 30th of June, it may feel like you are getting the job done. Probably not alone, probably in collaboration with someone else, but the job gets done. So that's the most important thing, and no one gets a prize for doing things purely by themselves. Just putting it out there. Now I'm going to go a little bit back in time. I'm going to flag some additional important astrological events this month, Cancer. So 4th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, a full moon in your 6th house of day-to-day work. I mean, I like this because whatever's going on work-wise, you seem to be in a much better place moving forward. So regardless of whether you are receiving a job offer or leaving behind a job, you seem to be in a much better place financially. If you ask me, you seem to be excited about your financial prospects. So if you're leaving behind a job, which is possible, you could be leaving it because you're going someplace else to make more money. If you are accepting maybe new duties and new responsibilities job-wise, you could be doing so because you're also going to be properly compensated. A very successful completion of a work project, maybe also of a health-related project. You could be spending some money connected with your health, but it feels like it's money spent wisely, and it gives you a sense of empowerment to maybe know, okay, these are the next steps health-wise, this is what I need to do. And I'm not saying that you're suffering of something. On the absolute contrary, it might be something that just kind of like needed to be taken care of, and now it is off your plate. 5th of June, Venus goes into Leo in your 2nd house until the 8th of October. You may attract quite a bit of money throughout this period, but Venus is going to go retrograde next month. We're going to talk about that in a jiffy. Well, actually next month. We're going to talk about it. So you may attract money your way with Venus in the 2nd house. You may also attract money from collaborating with wider groups of people. You may also feel very appreciated in a group of people throughout this period until the 5th of October. But especially on the 5th of June, you may feel like you have to pay for something that isn't necessarily yours to pay. You may feel like you have to pay more money than you expected to pay when it comes to, some sort of a hidden cost linked with your home, linked with your property, linked with your living situation, and you're not very, very, very happy about it. You could also hear news of the fact that your partner has been spending some money maybe behind your back, and I dare say you're not thrilled about it. Maybe they've kept this from you. And you could feel potentially a tiny bit distrustful of them as a result of this. 15th of June, Mercury is going to square Saturn in the 9th house. Now, if you have plans to travel long distance, they could be delayed. So the plane could be delayed, something like that. If you were waiting for positive news connected with academia around this time, they could be delayed also. And you could start thinking about all sorts of worst case scenarios. Don't think about it. Please wait until the end of the month because things are probably going to be in a much, much better place. If you're racking your brains and thinking, how am I going to solve this issue of an academic nature or this issue connected with, like visa, passport, and so on, it may feel like the solution reveals itself further down the line towards the end of the month, towards the 29th, 30th, I'd say. 18th of June, new beginning, new moon in your 12th house, a new beginning in terms of how you approach your mental health. I do believe that you may start investing more money in your mental health. You might also start investing more money into studying and learning about mystical topics connected with your subconscious, topics connected with spirituality. That's very, very possible. 18th of June, the new moon is squaring Neptune in the 9th house. If you are joining any sort of classes or courses, especially of a spiritual nature, I would make sure that you know exactly what you're signing up for. And I would also make sure that you do some due diligence, you do some investigating on the teacher, because something seems to be a little bit fishy there, or they might not reveal everything about them. And once you find out the full truth about them, you're like, oh no, what is going on here? Why did I know this about this person? I feel like I've been lied to. So ambiguity, confusion, and maybe a little bit of illusion and possible lies connected with teacher type of figures. If you are signing up for something academically, I do want to say that there could be some aspects of a legal nature that you need to dig into a lot more. So I'm thinking of fees and things like that. 25th and 26th of June, I would be careful on the road, especially maybe 25th of June and 26th of June, maybe 3 days before, 3 days after. It may feel like you are dealing with a sudden unexpected expense connected with your goals for the future. You could also be in the position where you spend more than you thought you would spend on a night out, a day out with friends. I want to say, I would also make sure that you agree beforehand who pays for what, so that you don't end up paying for everything. You could also have a little bit of an explosive fight with a friend around this time. Careful for ego battles, my dear Cancerians. My dear Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings. What does June have in store for you? Well, Leos, this month, you've got Mars on your side. Mars is going to be in your first house, giving you lots of energy. And I mean it. You already have quite a bit of energy because obviously you're a fire sign. But Mars is really pumping up the heat. So you may feel super active, energetic, and also in a rush, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it may be useful to keep that in mind, because others might have a hard time maintaining the pace that you are going at. You may be more assertive than you normally are this month, and I would be careful not to push it a little bit, and not to maybe get frustrated out of like small things. If you can do a lot of work by yourself this month, Leo, you may feel very satisfied. This is also a month to really work out a lot. So to use that fiery energy in an athletic way. You may feel very competitive this month, again, maybe more so than usual. Now, when it comes to working out, I would recommend being cautious, especially around the 26th of June, maybe a few days before, a few days after. A couple of days before, a couple of days after, because you don't want to sprain like something, or to pull a muscle or anything like that, which is quite possible, especially in the back, because Leo rules the back. There could be a little bit of inflammation around the back, especially around the 26th of June. Careful, like I said, not to push yourself too hard, not to burn yourselves out, my lovely Leos. And I would also be careful with inflammation in general in the body, maybe also stuff like hypertension and things like that. But obviously this is not medical advice. Please take the advice of your doctor above everything else. You may feel very kind of like heated up, especially around the 26th of June. So it could be useful to cool down, I wanna say. So maybe take a cold shower, or just kind of like go for walks, or just go and do some kickboxing by yourselves, because you wouldn't want to go into a full-blown fight, which is possible, especially around the 26th of June, with either a boss, or there is a possibility you could get into a fight with your mum. So just putting it out there. What else is going on this month? So I like very much the fact that the entire month, but especially around the 19th of June, Jupiter is nicely aspecting Saturn in your 8th house. Jupiter is going to be in your 10th house of career. So it feels like you are benefiting from the strong support of a partner with authority, with experience in expanding and growing career-wise, I'd say. You could also be building your career in such a way that your pension pot or your investment pot is growing. So you could be looking at your passive income and saying, this is looking very, very good. If you work on a commission basis, I gotta say, you could be signing some pretty important deals this month, Leos. You could also receive investment or financial support from someone. It could be an institution, it could be a business partner, someone that helps you grow professionally. So you are benefiting from some really, really, really significant support this month, my dear Leos. Take advantage of it. What else is going on this month? 2nd of June, Venus will harmoniously aspect Neptune in your 8th house. It feels like someone is giving you a gift around this time. This could also be a very romantic day of really enjoying intimacy and kind of like an escape bubble together with a romantic partner. It could also feel like someone comes in the nick of time and saves you from something that was bothering you or plaguing you, or something that you had lost hope about financially, I'd say. So I would be on the lookout for that. 4th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a full moon activating your 5th house, 11th house axis. So this is a very fun time, Leos. I'm just going to put it out there. You could be having a good time around the 4th of June, partying, celebrating something. You could be celebrating something career-wise together with a group of people. You could also be celebrating something connected with your children. Maybe you've got some very kind of like positive news to share with the world connected with kids. Kids could have, especially for Leo risings, kids could have some significant wins. I'm thinking maybe educational wins. They could have some significant wins that make you proud, and you could feel like you want to share the wins, the victories, the accomplishments of your children with the wider world. You could also successfully complete a creative project at work, and it really seems to open up, I dare say, new doors for you career-wise. You could also be celebrating something with your work colleagues. I do feel like you could be celebrating something that you've worked really hard towards. And now when it's finally happening, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it's happening, but it is happening. So you go ahead and celebrate, my dear Leos. 5th of June, Venus comes into your 1st house until the 8th of October. A time to really feel magnetic, attractive, to work on your beauty, aesthetics, style, but not when Venus is retrograde, which is going to be from the last week of July until the 4th of September. You may feel like people like you more throughout this period, and if you've been dealing with anything health-wise, like inflammation, Venus soothes things and calms things down and makes things like easier to handle in terms of inflammation or like stuff that is heating the body. I'm thinking of like stings, burns, or something like that. On the 5th of June in particular, Venus will oppose Pluto in the 7th house. You may feel like someone is very, very jealous of you on this day, and they're doing a very poor job of hiding it. You may feel like an open enemy or an open adversary is quite jealous of your charm and of your charisma. And they may reveal themselves as, without necessarily intending to, they may reveal themselves as jealous. So I did want to put that on your radar. Don't take it to heart too much, because you're shining. 11th of June, Mercury goes into Gemini, and especially on the 11th of June, it's going to nicely aspect Pluto in the 7th house. It feels like you're having an insight. You're having like a moment of clarity on this day when it comes to an open enemy, an open adversary. It could also feel like after maybe a lot of effort mentally, you finally get to the bottom of something that's been bothering your partner, your life partner, I'd say. So you could agree together with your partner on how to move forward with a very sensitive issue for them. 15th of June, Mercury is going to square Saturn. You may feel a little bit, how should I put it? You may feel a little bit like someone is raining on your parade if you're presenting something to a group of people, or someone is just kind of like pinpointing the drawbacks or the potential worst case scenarios or what could go wrong when you are sharing a vision with a group of people, or when you're talking in front of a wider group of people. I want to say that even though initially it may feel like you can't bring this person on your side, they may come to your side. They may join your side later this month. So I wouldn't become overly pessimistic about the opposition that you're encountering from this person, or about the maybe issues that this person, the potential issues that this person is bringing to your attention. You do seem to be able to persuade them, but maybe further down the line. 18th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, new moon in your 11th house. New goals for the future. You're probably setting new goals for yourselves, my dear Leos. Mercury is very nicely aspected, the ruler of the new moon, to Venus and Mars in your first house. So you're feeling excited and energetic and confident, and also very much aligned in terms of values with the goals that you're setting for the future. There could also be some news connected with your friends about to them starting something important in their life, and maybe you being able to like help or support, or them being able to like help and support you. You could be joining a community of people around this time. If you are joining a community of people, very careful when it comes to payments. So if you need to contribute resources wise, the new one is tensely aspecting Neptune. There could be some confusion, there could be some ambiguity, and there could be some hidden information that reveals itself later. So I wouldn't be caught up in the enthusiasm of the moment and not read the fine print. There's also a possibility that if you are joining a community or an organization, there are some hidden costs, but also some hidden kind of like repercussions on your taxes, something of that nature. So I would take some time and not rush into joining before you go through the financial aspects with a fine-tooth comb. 19th of June, peak time when Jupiter is nicely aspecting Saturn in your 8th house, so you're very much building your career for the long run. 21st of June, the sun goes into Cancer in your 12th house, so for the next month or so, it may feel like you really need to take some time off, and it could be a good idea to take some time off, I want to say, to go on vacation for a little bit of time if you can. Slow down and be careful who you pick a fight with on the 26th of June. Because you could encounter some explosive opposition, especially in a professional setup. 29th and 30th of June, it feels like forces behind the scenes help you with a financial matter. And it feels like you are getting some relief from a burden of a financial nature. It could also feel like a challenging topic connected with finances for your partner, life partner or business partner, is finally going through a period of relief, and kind of like it's easing up, I want to say, my dear Leos. Now, if you are a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, my dear Virgos, what does June look like for you? Well, first and foremost, I do want to put something on your radar. The entire month, Mars, transiting Mars, is going to be in your 12th house. I would be quite careful, especially around the 26th of June, because Mars is going to square Uranus. Now, what's likely to happen here? So there could be some hidden challenges that come up out of the blue, out of nowhere, connected with traveling, connected with legal matters, connected with academic matters, connected with exams, and you could be very angry at the result. There could also be some unexpected kind of like frustration in letting go of something and kind of like taking something off your plate in an academic setup around this time. You might have to pay for something that you did not think you would have to pay for, connected with traveling, connected with maybe visas, passports, and things like that. Hidden costs on this front, maybe also hidden costs connected with education, an unexpected fine or an unexpected tax to pay could come to your attention around this time. I would also in general, be careful on the road this month, especially around the 26th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after. If you can, because Mars is also the ruler of your 3rd house. So if you're rushing somewhere in a car, it might not turn out. You could be stopped in your tracks by something that comes up out of the blue. So I would be like the cautious one and kind of like look left, right, and center, and maybe slow down if necessary. If you can travel on public transport together with someone else, that would be fantastic. I would be careful, especially around the 26th of June, a few days before, a few days after, when it comes to traveling on public transport, because there is a possibility that someone could, I don't want to say harass you, but kind of like pick a fight with you. That's a possibility. It's not mandatory, however. Now, I promise you, I also have good news this month. The entire month, Jupiter is very nicely aspecting Saturn in your 7th house of relationships. What does that tell us? So Jupiter is the ruler of your house of home and your relationship sector. Together with your partner, you are working on a long-term project, very successfully, I might add, slowly but surely. You're building a long-term project connected with your home, connected with your living situation, maybe also connected with a legal issue, or something connected with academia. You're working in such a manner that is very productive. You're seeing the results of your work. Your partner seems to be very supportive when it comes to a private matter, but also when it comes to an educational matter. And you can also benefit from very, very strong advice and from the support of a very strong and knowledgeable consultant, an experienced consultant, when it comes to matters that are connected with academia, legal issues, or a property. So if you're looking to buy a property, you might find a fantastic mortgage advisor. You might also feel like your partner is doing everything that they can to reach this goal, and you're working very nicely as a team. So I like this month very, very, very much. It feels like you're making definite progress in the direction of a common goal together with a partner. What else is going on this month? 2nd of June, this can be, if you ask me, a very romantic date. So if you can use it to go out on a date, if you can use it to maybe spend some quality time with your partner talking about the future, I would definitely use it in this manner. If you're single, I do recommend going out, maybe meeting with friends or attending a group event, because you could connect with someone romantically and it feels like you're in this sort of like bubble. 4th of June, a few days before, a few days after, a full moon, a culminating point in your house of home and living situation. Good news connected with your home and living situation. It almost feels like you're getting good news of a legal nature. So some of you could be signing a contract to move into a new home. Some of you could be hearing news about moving abroad. Some of you could be hearing positive news from abroad, connected with your family. So maybe there's like a good piece of news coming from your mom, your dad, when it comes to something that they have been putting a lot of effort into, something that has been maybe quite chaotic in the past like year and a half. You could also leave a home behind, but if you're leaving a home behind around this time, it's because there's something much, much better on the horizon for you. You could also have some sort of public announcement to make about your private life to the outside world around this time. I am liking the fact that you are receiving some very kind of like hidden support to move forward with a matter that is linked with home life, real estate, or family life. So it might almost feel like the process is accelerated, I dare say, Virgos. 5th of June, Venus goes into your 12th house until the 8th of October. I do recommend taking some time off for like maybe a holiday, a vacation. A holiday is how we call it here in the UK, but in the US you call it vacation. You could enjoy spending time relaxing throughout this period. You could also spend some money throughout this period until October on your mental health, I want to say, and really start valuing your privacy. My dear Virgos, just wanted to put that on your radar. On the 5th of June, to be very, very precise, there could be something that happens at work that really reveals some sort of like hidden, how should I call it? Maybe power dynamic that has been ongoing at work. It feels like someone that maybe you thought was on your side is not really that much on your side. I'm just gonna put it out there. But now that you know, you're much better equipped to deal with anything that comes next. 11th of June, Mercury goes into your 10th house of career until the 27th of June. This is a fabulous time to have interviews, to look for a new job, or to present things at work in a public space, because it feels like your mind is very sharp. It feels like you're finding the right words at the right time. You're explaining things beautifully, and conversations are very, very productive in the professional sphere. I like the 11th of June in particular. There could be a sense of a successful transformation of your work sector in a direction that you're very, very comfortable with and that you're very aligned with on a professional level. Also, some good news connected with health around this time. Maybe something that has been plaguing you or something that has been giving you headaches. Now it's like, yes, I feel better. I'm no longer tired, or I now know what has been plaguing me. I now know how I can handle it, how I can get better, what sort of action I need to take to be in much better shape health-wise. 15th of June, things seem to be a little bit slowed down career-wise. Maybe you're encountering a little bit of opposition with a work, with a professional initiative. You could also feel like someone is doubting your competencies and your intellectual abilities at work. That doesn't mean that you don't have them. It just means that they're doubtful. And sometimes we do encounter people who challenge us. So careful not to feel like you're not smart enough on this day. You could feel that. That doesn't mean that it's true. Remember, our brains are not necessarily our friends, so our logical mind is not necessarily our friend all the time. 18th of June, new beginning career-wise. Some Virgos are going to start a new role. Some Virgos are going to start a new job around this time. I do feel like you're stepping up career-wise, Virgos. Mercury is going to be very nicely aspected to Venus and Mars in your 12th house. I feel like you're going to be able to have a better work-life balance career-wise with this new role. There could also be news of a new boss coming in, and it may feel like you can readjust your relationship with this boss in such a way that you get more time for yourself and more time for the activities that make you happy, if you ask me. You could also start negotiating like a new maybe pay package with this new boss if someone new comes in. The new one is in a tense aspect to Neptune in the 7th house. I feel like if you are saying yes to a new job, a new role, or a new position, there are some hidden aspects or some aspects that aren't very, very, very clear in terms of how you're going to be collaborating with people. It could feel like there's someone who might undermine you moving forward. And there could also be a little bit of like ambiguity as to how this new position is going to impact your relationship sector. I would be very, very careful to clarify who you're expected to work with. And I would be very careful to clarify what are some of the, let's say, boundaries of the role and of the position, so that you don't encounter someone that trespasses them. And then you feel like, oh, I'm expected to do so much more than I signed up for. I wanna say. You could also have some news to give to your partner around this time about your career that your partner isn't necessarily very thrilled about, even though you're very excited about them. Maybe because they don't know exactly how that's going to impact what you're working towards together with them in collaboration. If you are saying goodbye to a business partner around this time, my dear Virgos, it might leave you in a much better place, in a much more solid place professionally, even though that particular partner could be a little bit disappointed. And maybe you could feel like, oh, how am I going to handle things without them? How am I going to be able to handle, I don't know, like what the business throws my way without them? If you ask me, I think you're going to be just fine. I think you're going to be better than fine. 21st of June for the next month, the sun transits your 11th house. So the spotlight is placed on goals for the future, plans for the future, but also your social life is going to be front and center. 25th of June, I would clarify at work in a professional environment, I would clarify what your boss is telling you, and also I would make sure that they understand the message that you're sending across. You might also feel like someone is trying to undermine your discourse in a professional setup. Or it may feel like it lands nowhere just yet. It might land somewhere a little bit later in the month, around the 29th, 30th of June. So don't lose hope, please. 29th, 30th of June are 2 days that I really, really, really like. You seem to be very confident in what you're building for the future together with a partner. You seem to be having a very good time out into the world, forming significant relationships, partnerships, and collaborations. This is a great period for networking. You could be signing some important deals, some important contracts professionally. You could also be working in conjunction with someone who's a specialist on accomplishing some of your long-term goals professionally. I would socialize with people from work around this time because the connections that you're making seem to be very valuable, my dear Virgos, for your professional future. And that is Virgo for June. My dear Libras, Libra suns and Libra risings. What does June have in store for you? Well, first and foremost, Libras, Mars is going to transit your 11th house in Leo the entire month. What does that tell us? It tells us that this entire month you're likely to put a lot of energy into group type of efforts. You might also use a lot of energy to get together with friends, to connect with friends, and to really push forward your long-term goals and plans for the future. Also, from the 5th of June, for a very long time actually, until the 8th of October, Venus joins Mars in this part of your chart. And Venus is your chart ruler, so you may feel very invested. You may feel like a big part of your life focuses on group events, on connecting with your friends, on doing things together with your tribe, with like-minded individuals. There can also be a great sense of enjoyment of group type of activities, maybe going to conferences, maybe socializing with your people, I want to say, when Venus is in this part of your chart. So from the 5th of June until the 8th of October. I do want to point out, however, that on the 5th of June, Venus will oppose Pluto. What does that tell us? It tells us that you may feel like you have to leave something behind in order to maintain the relationship with a friend or with a group of people. You might need to leave something behind that you got a lot of joy out of. You might also feel like you need to hide something that makes you happy or something that makes you feel alive from a group of people so that you can maintain the relationship and the connection with this group of people. It may feel like if you reveal that part of yourself, that aspect of yourself, you may need to cut ties, or you may feel unaccepted by this group of people. There could also be a little bit of a secret attraction towards someone within a group of people that you're a part of. It doesn't necessarily have to be your friends' circle. It could be the community that you're a part of at work. So I'm just going to put it out there. It is a bit of a forbidden fruit type of energy that we're dealing with around this time, my dear Libras, around the 5th of June, maybe also the day before and the day after. Secrets about a romantic partner could also come to the surface around this time, and you may decide based off of that what you want your future to look like. You may take some decisions. What I like about this month is that Jupiter is nicely aspecting Saturn the entire month. It may feel like you are learning a lot about what held you back health-wise and work-wise. You're learning a lot about your own blockages, your own fears, and you seem to be working together with someone who is giving you a lot of hope and faith and maybe even practical tools on how to overcome your fears and your blockages so that you can be in better health, and also so that you can feel more productive and accomplished in a work setup. You could also be learning a lot about your hidden kind of like motivations and other people's hidden motivations in a work environment, and that might help you build better relationships in a work environment. It does feel like someone is supporting you throughout this month to overcome a health-related crisis, very, very possibly, and psychologically, it may feel like you're gaining a new perspective that changes your relationship with your physical body, and this may reverberate into your daily habits and daily routines. You may leave behind some habits and routines. You may transform your day-to-day routine. And it does seem to come from kind of like a psychological in-depth understanding of what has been motivating certain habits, or what has been determining you to engage in certain types of activities on a day-to-day basis. This is a fabulous month, for instance, to go to a hypnotherapist and ask them to help you give up smoking, for instance. You may find yourselves very, very successful this month, my dear Libra. So I would take advantage of this transit. What else is going on this month? 2nd of June, Venus in your house of career is nicely aspecting Neptune in the 6th house of day-to-day work. It does feel like you're very much enjoying the creative projects that you're working on in a professional space. You could be feeling very inspired. You could also be feeling like you are very appreciated by a boss on this day. You could also be putting some effort into your romantic relationship, my dear Libras, and it shows. It shows, and it's very well received, I want to say. 4th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, full moon activating your axis of traveling and education. So you could be traveling somewhere around this time. You could be taking a short distance trip. You could also be connecting with siblings around this time. If you are connecting with siblings, it may feel like they have news of how they have successfully overcome a crisis, a challenging aspect of their life. You could also be selling something or buying something at a great price around this time. So you seem to be securing a very, very good deal. There could be news of you having passed an exam. You could also feel like you have mastered something that has been maybe intellectually difficult to master, a skill, but now you are ready to apply that in your day-to-day work. And you seem to kind of like breathe very, very easily, I'd say. You could have an important presentation around this time, and it does seem to go very, very well. And it also feels like you have overcome a fear in presenting something, I'd say. 11th of June, Mercury goes into your 9th house, and it's harmoniously aspecting Pluto in the 5th house. A very kind of like strong mental connection with someone on this day. You could also really enjoy digging into an intellectual endeavor that makes you very happy, that you're very passionate about. So this could be a great day to study something that you're very passionate about. This could also be a great day to go to the museum, to learn something, maybe something that goes beyond practical skills, something that helps you feel connected with like a greater force, a higher power, maybe something of a spiritual nature. You could also receive very positive news connected with your travels around this date, around the 11th of June. I don't know if you're going to reveal this piece of news straight away. You might initially keep it to yourself. You might just kind of like enjoy it in private and then share it with the outside world. 15th of June, some misunderstandings possibly in a work environment with a colleague or with maybe like a client due to cultural differences. So I would make sure that you kind of like understand cultural sensitivities and differences, because you don't seem to be exactly on the same page with this person in this regards. 18th of June, new moon in the 9th house. So you could be starting a new academic process, a new academic chapter. Maybe you're applying to university. Maybe you're applying for a master's, a PhD, something like that. You could also start reading, learning, digging mentally into a topic that is connected with philosophy, maybe religion, spirituality, but also politics, I'd say. So you could kind of like start sinking your teeth into, as they say, intellectually, into a topic of this nature. You seem to be enjoying it. You seem to be doing this together with a group of people. So maybe you're joining a class, a course, an astrology course, for instance. But if you are starting something new in this direction, the new moon is in a tense aspect to Neptune in your 6th house. I don't know necessarily if the schedule is going to work for your day-to-day diary. You might need to make some adjustments to your day-to-day diary. If you are planning to travel around this time, I would make sure that you have health insurance, travel insurance, because your day-to-day schedule could be quite unpredictable and it could fluctuate, and you would not want that to mess with your plans, my dear Libras. 21st of June, the sun goes into Cancer. It activates for the next month your career sector, and it may feel like the spotlight is being very strongly placed on your career sector. 25th of June, I am seeing a little bit of a feeling of ambiguity and confusion in terms of data and facts at work, so I would dig deeper into that rather than taking things at face value. 26th of June, also a few days before, a few days after, very, very careful not to get into a fight over money with your partner, although that is possible, and you may feel like you are butting heads and you're not exactly on the same page. 29th of June and 30th of June I like. So it feels like you are succeeding at something very hard work-wise. You are maybe finalizing a project, or you're making significant progress, and you seem to feel very satisfied with the effort that you've put into this. Your boss seems to be very satisfied. Also, you could be receiving public acclaim and applause for the efforts that you've been putting into a very kind of like hard, strenuous project at work. You could also feel like you've made some significant effort that you can now see the results of health-wise. I'd say you could also be making a commitment health-wise, and I do believe you have the strength, and you're in the state of mind, you're in the right state of mind to stick to this commitment, my dear Libras. My dear Scorpios, Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings. What does June have in store for you? Well, I can tell you what you're going to be putting a lot of energy into, and that is your career. Lovely Scorpios. Mars, your chart ruler, is going to be transiting your house of career the entire month. I do believe that you're going to come across as assertive, forceful, strong, confident career-wise, but be very careful not to get into conflicts and arguments, because that is also a possibility. Be careful not to come across as too strong, as too much, as just kind of like wanting to do things your way and being quite inflexible. Especially, I want to say around the 26th of June, maybe also a few days before, a few days after, a couple of days before, a couple of days after, or even 3 days before and 3 days after, when Mars is going to tensely aspect to Uranus in your 7th house of interactions. Someone could openly challenge you career-wise, and it could turn into a big old explosion, metaphorically speaking, at work. It can result in an all-out war. Is it necessary? I don't think so. It might just feel like this person is opposing you because they don't want you to push your will onto theirs without you respecting their freedom and their authentic selves, I'd say. There's also a possibility that you could get into a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of a fight, a little bit of a conflict with your partner, especially if you are in a relationship, around the 26th of June. Maybe it does have something to do with your work. Maybe you are a little bit stressed or on edge or very kind of like driven to get things done at work, and your partner all of a sudden says, "What about me? And I don't want to talk about your work anymore." So I would be careful what you kind of like channel from your professional life into your relationship sector around the 26th of June, because you don't want this to turn into a full-blown, I don't know, like fight, I dare say. Venus, planet of pleasure and enjoyment, is also joining Mars in your house of career on the 5th of June. And all the way until the 8th of October, you may very much enjoy being in the spotlight, although I know that the spotlight isn't necessarily something that you actively crave for. It may feel like you are receiving more support career-wise, and it may also feel like you're being very appreciated and charismatic career-wise. And it could also feel like important business partners are offering you their support professionally, I dare say. It may feel like you can win some important people on your side professionally throughout this period. things might actually slow down a little bit career-wise. I want to say end of July until the beginning of September, but we're not there yet. We are talking about June right now. 5th of June, Venus is going to oppose Pluto in your house of home. So it may feel like you can not fully enjoy a win career-wise because there's something blowing up at home, or maybe something's happening in your home life and your private life that takes away from you having a great time in your professional sphere. It might also feel like a secret comes to the surface about your relationship sector. Maybe a secret that you've tried to keep kind of like buried or hidden or away from the spotlight. It might feel like it comes to the surface and everyone is like noticing it about your partner and your relationship sector. And I do believe you could feel a little bit on edge if you ask me. There could also be a sense of maybe a parent having hidden something from you, maybe because they didn't want to upset you or they didn't want to interfere with your super kind of like driven and motivated streak career-wise. But, you may need to step in and help them solve a crisis at home. So that your parent might need your advice and your help, and they might need you to kind of like to step in and to just kind of like show them how to get out of this situation, how to get out of this pickle. I wanna say. Now, what I like about June is the fact that the entire month, Jupiter in your house of relationships is nicely aspecting Saturn in the 5th house of enjoyment and children and creative self-expression. Jupiter is also the ruler of your 2nd house of income. So Scorpios, the entire month it feels like you are working very successfully together with your partner on accomplishing something that is connected with children. So you could be working on getting pregnant, for instance, or you could be working together as a team on something very important in the life of your children. If you've got children already, you could also be collaborating on a very lucrative project with someone, a lucrative project that requires you to really sharpen your creative skill set, and that requires you to ground your creative imaginative ideas into the 3D material reality. If you are in therapy in any shape or form, it may feel like a therapist is helping you overcome issues around self-love and issues and blockages around enjoying life, I want to say, and maybe issues that your inner child dealt with a while back. You could also be receiving some mentoring from someone who is more experienced within a field within a topic that you're very passionate about and that you want to put more effort into mastering, my dear Scorpios. You could also be working very successfully on strengthening your romantic life, on strengthening the bond between you and a romantic partner. It feels good and it looks good, Scorpio. So I'm really liking this energy. 2nd of June, Venus is nicely aspecting Neptune. Great day for a date, great day to go out, to have fun, to go to an exhibition with your romantic partner, and to also maybe go to a concert or kind of like get into this romantic bubble, I want to say. You could also be feeling very inspired by someone creatively, and you could feel like there's someone up there kind of like watching over you and guiding you. And maybe this is going to sound very cheesy, but you may feel lucky and loved by a higher power on this day, Scorpios. And maybe also the day before, the day after. 4th of June, full moon in your 2nd house, active 3 days before, 3 days after. The spotlight, the news, is connected with money and finances. So you could be receiving a payment, you could be receiving some auspicious news connected with your financial sector. You could be receiving a lump sum of money and maybe taking care of some debt. You could also be putting up prices, and you may also work with someone to help you better monetize your talents and skills, and you could be feeling very appreciated and more appreciative of your own talents, skills, and resources around this time. You could also be making a significant purchase together with a partner, and maybe a purchase that you're both very happy to make, I'd say. You could be also buying something very nice for your partner, treat them to something really nice and thoughtful. If you are receiving good news connected with finances and payment, maybe good news connected with a raise, which is very possible, Scorpios. 11th of June, Mercury nicely aspects Pluto in your 4th house. It feels like a crisis is overcome at home, and it also feels like you find a solution to deal with a problem that you might have kind of like tried to keep buried and hidden at home or in your private life. You could also have an aha moment, a deep kind of like understanding, a mental like awakening when it comes to something that really impacted your childhood and your private life and maybe the first years of life, something that was a source of trauma and suffering. And now you might understand, okay, I see where this is coming from. I see how it impacted me, and I see how I can overcome this particular source of suffering. You could also dig deep into your past and find out something that kind of like helps you put your life a little bit into perspective and helps you put your future into perspective as well. I'd say 15th of June, it may feel like maybe your partner doesn't want to spend money on something that you like, but you want to spend money on it. It might also feel like you have to spend more money than you thought you would have on a project or on an activity connected with children. And there could also be a little bit of like pessimism that you're dealing with mentally when it comes to the topic of children, but also maybe when it comes to the topic of romantic love. You could feel a little bit rejected by someone, but I don't think the rejection is final. And I wouldn't read too much into it. I would wait until the end of the month, especially around the 29th, 30th of June, because your mind might be in a much better place when it comes to your romantic life, and you could also feel very much loved and appreciated in that sphere, I'd say. 18th of June, new moon in your 8th house, new approach and new beginning when it comes to shared assets, shared resources, shared finances. A new beginning maybe also for your partner financially. Maybe they're getting a new job, maybe they're releasing a source of income and making room for a new one. Mercury is going to be nicely aspecting your planets in the 10th house. I do believe that you could also get good news about investments around this time, or you could receive some sort of like commission coming from your work. Now, if you are receiving a commission, I would read the fine print. Or if you're signing up for a commission, I would read the fine print, because it does feel like there's some ambiguity around data, and maybe you don't have all the facts. The new moon is tensely aspecting Neptune. It could also feel like you are starting to learn and dig into something mentally that helps you overcome a feeling of disappointment and disillusionment, maybe connected with your romantic life or connected with something that truly, truly disappointed you. Maybe because you couldn't pursue it as an activity, even though you're very passionate about it. I wanna say. Let's see. 21st of June for the next month, the sun transits your 9th house. So the spotlight is placed on traveling, also higher education, maybe making plans to travel. This could also be a period when you travel for work or when you connect with a lot of people from foreign lands and foreign countries for work-related purposes. Also, great time to really promote your business if you're working for yourselves, my dear Scorpios. 25th of June, it may feel like someone's lying to you romantically, or it may feel like you don't have all the data romantically that you need to take into account when making a decision on this particular front. It may feel like your mind is quite scattered and maybe you're having a hard time communicating what you're feeling to a romantic partner. The other way around is also very possible. So they might have a hard time communicating to you what bothers them and what makes them feel like sad or disappointed or disillusioned. And they might not even be disappointed with you. They could just be going through a bit of a more challenging day, I want to say. They could be struggling a little bit from a mental health perspective. Those of you who have kids could also see their kids maybe struggle a little bit around the 25th of June from a mental health perspective. I like the 29th and the 30th of June. You seem to be successfully working on something creatively and you're making great progress. And if you are utilizing your mind and your ideas on a creative project, on a long-term creative project, you seem to be very satisfied with the results around this time. You could also have almost like a feeling of being ready to bring your ideas, to ground them into the 3D material reality, and to bring them into kind of like a creative project that you feel very invested in. You could also feel very inspired creatively and feel ready to put into practice what you're inspired by. You could feel inspired by a certain life philosophy, maybe by a belief system, maybe by listening to like a teacher, a mentor, or someone like that. So I'm liking these days very, very, very much. It also feels like things are kind of like settling romantically, and maybe you're having some heavy but important conversations with your romantic partner, and now you feel more stable and secure in your romantic relationship, my dear Scorpios. That is June for you. My dear Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings. What does June look like for you? Well, there's a lot going on in your relationship sector, of course, because we are in Gemini season for a big part of June. There's also a few pieces, a few bits and pieces of good news that I have for you, work-wise, my lovely Sagittarians. But let me not get ahead of myself. So let's start with the very, very beginning of the month. On the 2nd of June, Venus is going to be harmoniously aspecting Neptune in your 4th house of home, family, and living situation. It does feel like you are maybe enjoying spending time at home. Maybe you're hosting. It feels like you're in this sort of like pleasant, cozy, emotional bubble at home around the 2nd of June, and maybe also the day before and the day after. This could be a really, really good time to invite family for dinner, or if you don't feel like having family over, it could be a really good time to just have like a romantic dinner with your partner at home. You could also invite friends and have a very good time at your place, Sagittarius. The entire month, Mars is going to transit your 9th house. Mars is going to be transiting the part of your chart that is connected with foreign lands, foreign countries, and so on. You could be putting a lot of energy into maybe planning a trip, or actually physically traveling, maybe traveling for fun, for pleasure, because Mars is the ruler of your 5th house of enjoyment. You could also be putting energy into academic matters, or matters that broaden and expand your horizons, Sagittarians. If that is the case, it does feel like you are really inspired by maybe the topics that you're studying. You might feel inspired. You might feel a surge in creativity in this direction. 4th of June. 3 days before, 3 days after, Sagittarians, there's a full moon activating your 1st house of identity and the physical body. I recommend looking back at what was going on in your life around the 23rd of November last year, 2022, Sagittarius. Did you start anything on a personal level? Did you start working out, for instance? Did you begin some sort of course or class? Did you initiate some sort of new chapter on a personal level last year, Sagittarians, in November? Because if the answer is yes, then this full moon is probably going to bring this process that begun last year to a culminating point. It feels like you are accomplishing something very, very important on a personal level around this time, around the 4th of June, Sagittarius. Jupiter, the ruler of this full moon, is going to be in your house of work, so it feels like you're accomplishing something that feels like a big personal win work-wise. You could also be achieving something. You could be seeing the results of the efforts that you've been putting into maybe enjoying and working towards better health, I wanna say. You could also wrap up some sort of
project that you've been working on from home together with your partner. Maybe it was a home related project. Maybe you started renovating. Maybe you were working together on, I don't know, creating a baby or something like that. Sagittarians, especially Sagittarius risings, if that is the case, then it feels like the project, and I'm using the term also metaphorically, the project is reaching a culminating point that you're most likely very, very happy with, I dare say. The spotlight may be placed on your physical body around this time, at the time of the full moon. It may feel like you're doing something very significant that will have a positive impact on your physical body around this time. 3 days before, 3 days after, Sagittarians. The moon is very nicely aspected also to Mars in your 9th house. It feels like you really believe in the efforts that you're undertaking around this time to become a better you, and it feels like you're very kind of like excited and energized and passionate. I dare say. 5th of June, all the way until the 8th of October, Sagittarius, Venus will transit your 9th house of foreign lands, foreign countries, academic matters, legal matters. So Venus generally makes things smoother, easier. People want to help you. People want to support you. Venus is also the planet of pleasure and enjoyment. So with Venus on your side in this part of the chart, you may genuinely enjoy traveling. You may also enjoy studying, maybe also connecting with people over issues of a spiritual, philosophical, religious nature. Venus may also help you accomplish through others something of a legal or judicial nature. But I do want to flag that next month in July, Venus is going to be retrograde, so that might actually slow things a little bit down. So if you can get anything done on the legal front, or on the educational front, or maybe even on the spiritual development front until the last week of July, I would go ahead and do it. On the 5th of June, to be very precise, on this day, Venus will oppose Pluto in your 3rd house. If you're traveling around the 5th of June, or if you're spending time abroad, or if you're waiting for news from abroad, there could be some news that you did not necessarily see coming, Sagittarians, that could result in a little bit of a change of plans. There's also a possibility that work might interfere with your travels or with your studies around this day. I'm gonna go out there and say it. It's not gonna be a very long-term influence. So just kind of like breathe and carry on. And maybe talk about the stress that you're kind of like going through on this day to someone that you trust, Sagittarians. 11th of June, Mercury will harmoniously aspect Pluto in your 3rd house of communication. Mercury enters Gemini in your 7th house of relationships. It feels like you are in agreement with your partner on something very important, maybe something that required like strenuous conversations, maybe something that required you opening up about your fears, and maybe the partner opening up about their fears. If you are looking to buy or to sell something around the 11th of June, maybe also the day before and the day after, you may find the right person, either to buy something from you or for you to buy something from them. This can also be a day when you are very, very productive and very insightful, and your mind is very brilliant and digs into the depth of things. When it comes to any sort of like writing projects or educational projects where you have to use the logical, rational, analytical mind, Sagittarians. 15th of June, I am seeing maybe a little bit of a disagreement with possibly a parent or a partner on a matter that has something to do with the home or the living situation. 18th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, also active, there's a new moon in your 7th house of relationships. This could indicate maybe a new business partnership or the beginning of a new chapter for your partner, if you have a life partner, if you're in a relationship with someone. If you're not in a relationship with someone and you're open, you could potentially meet someone, but it's the very kind of like beginning of the process. Remember, new moons are new beginnings, and at the beginning of things, we don't really know where the situation is going to go. We don't really know what's going to come up next. So I would keep that in mind. It does feel like there could be some, I'm gonna say, insufficient information that you're dealing with around this time when it comes to a partnership, or some ambiguous or some confusing information that you're dealing with. Unclear communications could be, let's say, impacting in the long run, maybe the relationship or the chapter that you're going into together with a partner around this time. So I would make sure to go over any sort of like numbers, data, facts, with a fine-tooth comb. Mercury is very nicely aspected to Venus and Mars in the 9th house. So if you are signing something of a legal nature, I do believe that both you and the partner, business partner or life partner, you are aligned in terms of mentality, but I feel like you don't have clarity in terms of the data, the set of data that you're operating with. There could also be something in your own kind of like home life, family life, or private life that you're maybe not revealing to the partner that you're sealing the deal with around this time. I dare say, your partner could also sense a little bit of a feeling of loss, especially life partner, maybe when it comes to a professional matter around this time. I'm just gonna put it out there. 19th of June, and actually it's active on the entire month, this energy, but it's very strong on the 19th of June and the days before, maybe like 3 days before, 3 days after. Jupiter harmoniously aspects Saturn in your 4th house of home and family and living situation. It feels like you are productively working towards achieving something durable and long-lasting at home, when it comes to home life, private life, or maybe real estate. It also feels like if a parent has been going through some health-related issues, they are seeing some solid, slow and steady improvement in their health this month. So I like this energy. Don't be afraid to rely on family members. Don't be afraid to rely on parents. Don't be afraid to rely on siblings if you need their help with something connected with your work or with your health, because they're probably going to be there to offer very strong support. The sun moves into Cancer in your 8th house on the 21st of June. For the next month, it places the spotlight on the partner's resources and also on psychological transformation on your end, my lovely Sagittarians. 25th and 26th of June can be a little bit trickier. I am seeing some possible disagreements with partners, or maybe a sense of disappointment, or maybe even maybe feeling lied a little bit by a partner or by a parent around the 25th of June, Sagittarians. And on the 26th of June, there is a possibility that you could get into a bit of a fight at work, quite explosive, quite out of the blue, because you're not seeing eye to eye with someone who is maybe culturally different. There could also be a sense of some sort of like sudden inflammation health-wise, but I do believe it's something that is fixable. It is solvable, I want to say, because you do have Jupiter on your side. And Jupiter, the great benefic, offers you protection health-wise. So if anything does come up health-wise, I would not stress out too much, and I would kind of like keep faith and keep a positive mindset. I'd say I'm liking the 29th and the 30th of June because it feels like you are very, very deeply connecting with family members. You could also be building something very solid and tangible at home by utilizing not just your resources, but maybe the partner's resources as well. And I'm also seeing a sense of making tremendous improvement around the 29th and the 30th of June, Sagittarians, when it comes to leaving behind something that caused fear or hurt or trauma in the past, or maybe in childhood. That is Sagittarius. And now if you are a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn rising, my lovely Capricorns, what can you expect from June 2023? Well, it's an interesting month. It's an interesting month, maybe not as eventful, maybe not as in your faces as May, but there is quite a bit going on, and there are some things that you might actually like quite a lot, Capricorns. So the entire month, but especially around the 19th of June, maybe also the 3 days before, the 3 days after, Jupiter, great benefic, is going to nicely aspect Saturn in your third house. Saturn is your chart ruler. It feels like this month you are learning a great deal. When it comes to something that you're very passionate about. So if you've got a topic that you're very much into, if you've got a topic that you feel like, yes, I want to know more about this, I want to read more about this, I want to learn more about this, you're making fantastic progress. It is progress that really seems to like sink deep within your psyche and your kind of like emotional body, I wanna say. It almost feels like you're learning, even though you could be learning something very practical that you like, it feels like you're learning to see yourself in a new light, in a more loving, appreciative light, my dear Capricorns. A very productive month for creative projects that involve writing, that involve maybe also communicating, verbalizing things, that involve bringing creative ideas into the 3D material reality. And especially if there's like an element of words or communication, it's going beautifully, beautifully, beautifully. You also seem to be making money out of something that you enjoy doing this month, and maybe developing your skills in a direction that is probably going to result in better income over the long run, and you're having fun. I love this. It also feels like you're learning how to have more fun and how to communicate better, what makes you happy and what you need in order to feel happy and to feel alive. Jupiter is also the ruler of your 12th house. You could be putting effort into maybe like studying something and you're having a blast. I repeat, very, very fun month. You're having a blast even out of doing something that requires maybe, I don't know, like focus. You could be directing your concentration towards maybe learning something like a topic of a mystical, spiritual nature. I don't know, maybe you're learning how to read the tarot cards, for instance. It also feels like communication with siblings is going very, very well. You're supporting them, they're supporting you. And if you have children, your children could be having like a really beneficial and auspicious month when it comes to educational efforts, I'd say. And you seem to get along much better with your children in communication. So that's something that I did want to flag from the very get-go. Mars, which is the ruler of your house of home and of your 11th house of plans for the future. Mars is transiting your 8th house. Now, it does feel like this month you could have quite a bit to pay, maybe. I want to say in terms of like taxes, credit cards, debt, and so on. And they could be related to home matters, maybe, I don't know, like mortgage payments or like getting a loan to like renovate the house or something like that. Around the 26th of June, maybe also the day before and the day after, you could have an unexpected expense connected with your children, if you do have kids, or connected with something that was fun and enjoyable, but you did not necessarily expect to cost this much. Maybe it was like a social like event or something that you did together with your friends, and all of a sudden you look at your, I don't know, like, what is it? Bank statement, and you're like, this cost way too much. So it is possible. If you have anything planned out to like, I don't know, go out with friends and do something fun around the 26th of June, and maybe also a few days before, a few days after, but especially the day before and the day after, I would be careful not to end up overspending and overextending yourselves. Capricorns, just putting it out there. If you have children, I would also be careful if they're playing sports or games. I would maybe remind them that their physical well-being is the most important thing, and they don't have to be overly competitive at the risk of hurting themselves. I'm not saying that they would hurt themselves, but it is worth reminding them that winning is not worth hurting oneself for, I'd say. 2nd of June, beautiful, beautiful, a romantic day together with your partner. If you can spend time with a partner, if you can go out on a date, if you can have a heart-to-heart, if you can maybe write a poem to your partner, it seems to land exactly where it needs to land, Capricorns. If you're single, please open yourselves up, especially around the 2nd of June, maybe day before and day after. But of course, you have free will, so that's completely up to you if you decide to go ahead or not with the beautiful energy on this day. You may also be feeling very inspired by someone that you genuinely like. You could even be attracted to them. I'm gonna put it out there. 4th of June, there is a possibility you could leave a job behind, not a home. Maybe also the 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a full moon activating your axis of service. There is a chance that you could be wrapping up a job at this point in time, and it could be because you are looking to do something that you enjoy doing more of. Maybe you're making more time for like a better work-life balance, I want to say. Or maybe you're looking forward to spending more time with your children. There's also a very high chance that this could be a time when you're on vacation, on holiday, you're resting and you're having a great time, and it feels good to breathe easily and let go and not have to worry about the daily set of tasks and duties and responsibilities that await you at work, Capricorns. The moon at the time of the full moon is in a harmonious aspect to Mars in your 8th house. It feels like you are letting go of something that has been maybe causing a bit of anxiety, a bit of fear. It feels like you're learning to kind of like have faith in where the universe is taking you, and you're enjoying that. So it can be like a very spiritual full moon as well. There could be a sense of, okay, I put my faith into the universe and I'm no longer looking and seeking to control every single step of the way. And alas, here I am in this beautiful place. And control is a very Capricorn theme, so sometimes letting go of control can feel particularly scary, and just kind of like having faith and trusting the universe. I know, I'm talking to Capricorn, so please forgive me if this sounds like a foreign language. 5th of June, all the way until the 8th of October, Venus will be transiting your 8th house. This can be a very good time to attract funding from others. It can be a good time to attract gifts from others, to see maybe some increases in terms of, I'm going to say investments, but not necessarily when Venus is going to go retrograde, which is going to be next month. So that's going to be on the 22nd, 23rd of July, depending on where in the world you are based. And that could be a period when you actually see things kind of like reverting or reversing when it comes to progress or wins, investments wise. But obviously this is not financial advice. You folks are responsible for your financial decisions. Venus transiting the 8th house is a beautiful time to have enjoyable sex. Yes, that's what Venus is about. And like to bond very, very deeply and to like celebrate this aspect of your lives. On the 5th of June, however, Venus will oppose Pluto in your 2nd house. I do believe you could end up spending more, maybe on a date or on a romantic partner, or maybe on your child, than you thought you would end up spending. I dare say. Careful not to get into debt over maybe something that is just a nice to have rather than a must have. But I repeat, you folks are in charge of your finances. It's going to be completely up to you. 11th of June, Mercury goes into Gemini in your 6th house of work. All the way until the 27th of June, it may feel a lot easier to communicate with people at work, to have productive conversations. Your mind is very on the ball, as they say. And the 11th of June seems to be a very, very good day to find insightful solutions to work-related problems. Your mind is digging deep under the surface, and you see things that aren't immediately visible, and you're like, ta-da! That's how you solve this issue. I'm liking it. 15th of June, there could be some delays in getting to work. maybe caused by traffic, caused maybe by incidents on the road, possibly, not mandatory, but I do see mostly delays. 18th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a new moon in your house of day-to-day work and health. So this could be the beginning of a new job or a new work-related project. Not everyone's going to start a new job. There could also be a new team member joining the team. If that is the case, it does feel like there could be some ambiguity and confusion initially when it comes to communicating with this person, or maybe there isn't a lot of clarity as to what this person is going to do on a day-to-day basis. If you're starting a new job, Capricorns, I would really sit down with your manager and with the people that are on your team, because there may not be 100% clarity as to what your tasks involve, as to what you're expected to do on a day-to-day basis. Mercury, however, is going to be very nicely aspected to Venus and Mars in the 8th house. If you are starting a new job or if you're starting a new work project, it feels like it's something that could generate great bonuses and maybe significant kind of like returns on investments, maybe good commissions, and so on. 21st of June for the next month, the sun goes into Cancer and it illuminates your partnership sector. So the spotlight is going to be very much on your partners. I like the 29th and the 30th of June because it feels like you're having some really powerful, productive conversations with either business partners or life partners. You could be signing some important deals business-wise. You could also reach an agreement with your partner, life partner, or business partner on how to go about a significant financial matter. I wanna say it also feels like the person who is supposed to like advise you on these days, maybe an advisor, a consultant, an attorney, an accountant, they really see and understand very clearly what's important to you, and they help you maybe achieve that stability that you're looking for by resorting to their advice. I dare say. The 25th of June can be a little bit tricky. Again, a lot of smoke and mirrors at work, not a lot of clarity work-wise, maybe something getting lost in translation. So just wanted to put it on your radar, Capricorns. My dear Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings. What is going on in your lives in June? Well, first and foremost, I'll tell you this. If you're in a relationship, if you've got partners, your partners might be really, really, really impatient this month. Why is that? Well, because the entire month Mars is going to be transiting your 7th house of relationships. Venus is going to be joining Mars on the 5th of June. All the way until the 8th of October. And Venus transiting the 7th house is generally a really good time to connect romantically with someone, to enjoy romantic dinners, dates, to just like let yourselves be swept off your feet from a romantic perspective, of course. It is generally a very good period to date. It can bring some fun dates because we are talking about a Venus in Leo combined with Mars in Leo, so there can be fun and passion and dancing. I almost see kind of like these like super like hot and steamy like dances and maybe going out to concerts with your partners and so on. But before Venus comes into the mix, Mars might be like quite belligerent on its own, or as I said, quite impatient, quite in a rush. So you are likely to feel maybe the partner being a little bit in a rush, a little bit in a hurry the entire month, maybe also a little bit more reactive. It is a very good idea to make use of this energy, Aquarians, by being active physically together with your partners this month as much as possible. And if you can add to that an element of fun, as I said, maybe going dancing, going to the concert, stuff like that, you may have a blast. But remember, partners can be easily triggered this month, and people in general may feel like they're in a rush. They have no patience. They've got no time to waste. Anyone and everyone that you interact with on a day-to-day basis with Mars in the 7th house could be like, go, and you're like, hold your horses. Why the rush? So just wanted to put that on your radar. The 5th of June in particular, and maybe also the day before, the day after, it could feel like possibly a romantic partner wants to dig deep underneath the facade and the image that you put out into the world. And I don't know if you're going to feel very happy about it. You might feel like it is a little bit intrusive, I want to say. Also, if you've been keeping any secrets from your partner, Aquarius, no judgment, Aquarius risings. If you've been keeping something to yourselves, about yourselves, then I dare say that someone that you're interested in romantically might find out, and they might not necessarily be super happy about it. They could feel a little bit betrayed. Very careful, especially if you are in, I want to say, in the process of doing something at home together with a partner, maybe building something at home or working on a home-related project, the partner could feel very taken aback by the fact that you haven't revealed something to them that feels significant, I dare say. 2nd of June, really good day for work. You seem to be very inspired at work, very creative. You have beautiful ideas. You work very well with people. You might almost feel very like privileged and lucky and hashtag blessed. And I'm not saying that in a sarcastic way. You might actually feel very privileged to be working in the space that you're working in, and you might feel like you're really making a difference work-wise, I dare say. This could also be a day when you spend some money, 2nd of June, on maybe some health-related procedures that have a positive effect also from an aesthetic perspective, from a beauty perspective. 4th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a full moon activating your 11th house of friends, communities, groups of people. This full moon definitely puts the spotlight on your social life, on the organizations and the communities and the groups that you're a part of. You could be very socially active around this time. You could also get back together and reconnect and maybe go out and have a lot of fun. It's a very fun full moon, by the way. So for you Aquarians, I super like this full moon. Go out, have fun, reconnect with friends from home. That's what I was about to say. So you might be reconnecting with people who have been in your life since, I don't know, since you were a kid. You could also have like a very fun day out, a very fun few days out, doing group type of activities together with family members, Aquarius. You could also feel like you are achieving a goal, and dare I say even a dream, when it comes to your home life, family life, and maybe also living situation. It could feel a little bit like a dream come true. I'm gonna go out there and say it. You may feel very proud of the efforts that you've made from a financial perspective to accomplish this goal, Aquarius. The moon is going to be nicely aspected to Mars in the 7th house. If you are going out celebrating something with friends, which you could very well be doing, especially something connected with your property, home sector, family sector, it may feel like someone in your circle of friends is very attracted to you. So there could be like a little bit of chemistry, or maybe quite a bit of chemistry that you are sensing from a friend. And obviously, if you're not in a relationship, then that's fantastic. If you are in a relationship, then you can figure that out for yourselves. But you're having a jolly good time. I'm just gonna go out there and say it. Who says that? Who says jolly good time? Why am I acting like an old lady? Like, why am I saying things that an old lady would say? Well, my moon is in Capricorn, folks. That's why. 11th of June, Mercury goes into Gemini in your 5th house all the way until the 27th of June. This is prime time to have fun, and this is also prime time to utilize your mental, let's say, resources for creative purposes. You could be enjoying like solving mental puzzles, being creative with your mind and with your words. And it could also feel like your social life is really just like going beautifully, my lovely Aquarians. I like the 11th of June in particular, because Mercury is going to be trining Pluto in your first house. It feels like you're having a little bit of an epiphany around this day, around this time, maybe also the day before, the day after, when it comes to what makes you happy, what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel fulfilled. You could also have a bit of an aha moment, a light bulb moment about yourselves, Aquarians, when it comes to your psyche and your psychological kind of like nature, I'd say. A very hot date also on this day is possible if you say yes to it. But of course you have free will. You can say yes, you can say no. Up to you, up to you. 15th of June, you may feel like you can't spend as much money as you would like to spend on fun stuff, maybe on classes, courses, books, attending conferences, because you've got some financial goals to achieve. So just putting that on your radar. 18th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, new beginning, either romantically or the beginning of a new chapter for your children. If you have children, if you don't have children, then this could bring news of children, this new moon, but only if this is indicated by other transits and other kind of like forecasting techniques in your own personal chart. This is not necessarily on its own enough to indicate pregnancy. This new moon in Gemini in your 5th house. It feels like you could experience a sense of a new beginning romantically, even if you're already in a relationship. It may feel like together with your partner, you're entering a new chapter. Maybe you're finding a new way to communicate to each other what you enjoy within the relationship, what you enjoy in intimacy, what makes you feel appreciated romantically, I'd say. It could also feel like you're starting work on a creative project in collaboration with someone. If that is the case, I would discuss money quite in depth, because there seems to be some lack of clarity around money and finances around this time. If you discover that you've got a new passion and a new hobby around this time, which is possible, Aquarians, I would also look very, very closely at the topic of finances, because I don't know if you've got all your ducks fully in a row there. I don't know if you've taken every possible, let's say, expense into account that might come with this new hobby. Just putting that again on your radar. If you are signing up for something, read the fine print, please, because it might actually cost more than you thought it would cost. Let's see. I love the fact that the entire month Jupiter is nicely aspecting Saturn in your 2nd house of income. It feels like you are accomplishing something very solid, very enduring, very long-lasting, very tangible, that involves money and finances, that involves you channeling your resources, but very successfully on the home and family front. So you could be growing the family. You could be preparing to step into like a bigger home, a home that is much more to your liking. You could be preparing for a new exciting journey in terms of living situation, or if that's already happened in May, you could be enjoying the new living situation and really feeling like this is a place where you want to set down roots. It also feels like, because Jupiter is the ruler of your 11th house, you could be collaborating with a group of people, maybe from home, or people from your past, on a very lucrative project. So literally very lucrative from a financial perspective. You're making money, you're building your long-term security financially. It is a slow process, it is a slow burner, but it feels like you've got support. You could be having support from family, from friends, from a community of people. I'm loving this energy. I'm loving this energy. 25th of June, Mercury squares Neptune in your 2nd house. Again, careful what you spend your money on. Careful what you commit to financially, because you may have to take back your word further down the line. On the 21st of June, for the next month, the Sun activates your 6th house of day-to-day work. So for the next month, it feels like you're working a lot in collaboration with others, and your attention is very much geared towards work-related day-to-day tasks that need to be ticked off your list. I am not liking the 26th of June. I'm not liking the day before and the day after either, because Mars is going to square Uranus. Now, this can be an explosive sudden fight, an explosive sudden conflict at home with a parent, with a sibling, or with your partner. Something could also blow up at home and might need to be replaced. And I'm thinking of something that generates heat or uses like electricity, something of a technological nature. I mean, it could be any appliance or gadget around the house. I would be careful how you handle fire around these days, and also how you deal with like electrical stuff. I would not I don't know, change your own light bulb, for instance, because it could blow up. So I would be careful. Mars-Uranus combinations are generally accident prone. If you are, I don't know, working out together with a partner, don't like over push, over stress, over extenuate yourselves. I think that's the word. Physically, you do not want to pull a muscle. You don't want to end up, I don't know, with like a bruise or something like that. I like the 29th and the 30th of June because it feels like these are some very, very productive days work-wise. You are in a state of like flow work-wise. You're also working on something and you're seeing results, and you're very kind of like happy with the results at an emotional level. You could be seeing results health-wise, if you've been pushing yourselves in this direction. You could also be hearing some positive news around these times connected with money and finances, maybe news connected with a raise, or you could be signing like an important client. I'm liking it. It doesn't seem to be something that like falls in your lap from the sky. It does seem to be something that you've been working really hard towards, and now you're seeing the results of your efforts. My dear Pisces, Pisces suns and Pisces risings, what does June have in store for you? Well, I have to say it. There is a lot of work for you on the table, Pisces. You're probably going to be quite busy. Mars planet of action, is going to be in your house of work the entire month. And you could be feeling like very driven and very motivated to get things like off your plate. You could also be a little bit in a rush. Careful not to get into conflicts with coworkers or with clients, especially around the 26th of June, maybe also the day before, the day after, but maybe even like 2 days before, 2 days after. There could be some explosive arguments at work, my dear Pisces. Sometimes it pays to be the bigger person. And also you could be feeling delays are kind of like unnecessary when it comes to a work-related project around this time, especially. So careful what you say, because you don't want to be making enemies, even if you feel like some people on the team are delaying the progress of whatever it is that you want to see through till the end. I would also be careful if you are working out, not to overdo it around the 26th of June, maybe 3 days before, 3 days after. So I'm going to give you a broader window. There seems to be like a very kind of like motivated and driven approach that you have towards your workouts, maybe. But sometimes you just have to be kind of like cautious and not try to do too much at once. I'd say if you're driving, especially around the 26th of June, a tire could blow up or something could overheat, and it might need to be replaced. Now, if you know already that something needs to be replaced or something needs to get checked with the car, I would check it beforehand, right? So that you don't have to experience the energy in this like maybe more challenging way, my lovely Pisces. You may have to spend some money quite unexpectedly around the 26th of June, a few days before, a few days after, maybe on your car, just putting it out there, but it's not mandatory. Remember that astrology is only archetypally predictive. It doesn't predict exact material manifestation. It feels like if you've been bottling up frustration and anger, it could kind of like result in all sorts of like random like explosions, implosions around you. So careful not to hold things in, but also careful not to have a rant in front of the wrong person or to like spill the anger onto the wrong person also, I wanna say. Now, Venus is going to be joining Mars in your house of day-to-day work and health from the 5th of June until the 8th of October, and there's going to be a retrograde next month, kicking off next month. So Venus kind of like makes things a bit sweeter, a bit easier, a bit more enjoyable, a bit more pleasant. So with Venus in the mix, you are likely to also enjoy your work. You're not just like go, 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 and like feeling like you wanna like punch people out of your way to get things done. Venus is also generally a very soothing, helpful influence from a health perspective, I'd say. Venus for you, Pisces, is the ruler of your third house. It feels like you're putting effort from the 5th of June until the 8th of October. You're putting effort on a day-to-day basis into learning something, I'd say. It helps to form some relationships maybe with people who know already, who are good at what you're trying to learn. Just my recommendation. 5th of June, maybe also the day before, the day after. It could feel like you are maybe hearing some news connected with a work colleague or connected with your team that might make you feel like you have been a little bit betrayed, I want to say. Maybe they've said something behind your back, or maybe they've done something behind your back. It's possible. It's possible. I also wouldn't overdo it with the sugar around the 5th of June, maybe the day before and the day after. Because it could have all sorts of like weird effects when it comes to how you feel from a health and wellness perspective. 2nd of June, a very romantic day, very, very romantic day. If you can take the time to go out on a date, if you can take the time to maybe like spoil your partner in some shape or form, I would do it. It also feels like a day when you are really, really giving yourselves, Pisces, a lot of self-love and self-appreciation. That's the keyword that I was looking for. 4th of June, 3 days before, 3 days after, there's a full moon activating your house of career. The spotlight is very much on your career sector. A big win for you career-wise, Pisces. Look back at what was going on career-wise last year around the end of November, because this full moon could bring things to a culminating point professionally. The themes and the developments that were underway last year, career-wise, in November, could reach this peak at the time of this full moon. You seem to be applauded and appreciated publicly when it comes to your career, when it comes to your professional let's say input. You could also feel like the spotlight is being placed on you in the public life, so you don't necessarily have to experience this solely from a career perspective. It feels like you are receiving kind of like appreciation around this time for something that you are communicating, maybe for making a presentation. If you're looking to launch something big, this could be the time to launch something professionally. You could have a big announcement to make. Some of you could get a raise or a promotion or a brilliant new position that pushes you up the ladder career-wise, Pisces. You could also have like a very successful interview. In any case, you're doing fabulous career-wise. I cannot stress this enough. The full moon is very nicely aspected also to Mars in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So your enthusiasm and your passion is really paying off career-wise. You're seeing great outcome, I dare say. 11th of June, Mercury goes into your 4th house of home and family and living situation until the 27th of June, and especially on the 11th, it's going to harmoniously aspect Pluto in your 12th house. It feels like you're finding, after doing a lot of digging, after like kind of like pushing for a solution, you're finding a mental and intellectual solution to maybe like a problem that needed to be solved at home. You could also have like a very important conversation that reveals information that is of tremendous use to you. You could have this conversation with a parent, I'd say, or with a family member. You could also discover maybe some hidden information, and again, it feels like you were really kind of like hoping that you would discover this. It feels like the type of information that is like, yes, like I've been racking my brains and I've been like looking everywhere and here it is. Or you could find maybe like a missing paper, like a missing document at home around this time. 15th of June, it does feel like you're maybe having a little bit of a disagreement with a family member. Very possibly, it feels like you're like talking to the, maybe like you're talking to the wall, or it could feel like you don't want to listen. A family member could talk to you, the wall, Pisces, and you're like, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. I ain't got time for this. Careful not to come across as like excessively cold, I'd say. 18th of June, there's a new one in your house of home and family and living situation. So some sort of like new beginning on this front. Maybe you're starting work on something at home. Maybe you're looking for a new home. You could start maybe working on a project from home, and it could be something connected with your professional life. And the new one is tensely aspecting Neptune in your first house. I don't know if you've got a lot of clarity as to how this will impact your health and how this will impact the time that you've got for yourself. You could feel a little bit like depleted of energy. So if that's the case, I would not rush into starting some sort of project from home, because you don't want your health to suffer as a result of it. I would first figure out, okay, what is my bandwidth? Is there anything that I need to release? Is there anything that I need to do less of so that I can also focus on this aspect, Pisces? The entire month, Jupiter, your chart ruler, is harmoniously aspecting from the third house, Saturn in your first house. It feels like the entire month you are learning a lot about yourselves, Pisces. You're learning a lot about how to overcome fears, blockages. You're also learning a lot about how to take better care of your body. And it feels like you're seeing yourselves in a new perspective that opens up kind of like an entire like realm of possibilities, maybe also from a career perspective. You could also be putting a lot of successful efforts this month, Pisces, especially Pisces risings, when it comes to a project that involves studying, learning, writing, or teaching, I'd say. 21st of June for the next month, the Sun transits Cancer in your fifth house. The Sun is the ruler of your sixth house of day-to-day work, so you may very much enjoy the work that you're doing throughout this period, and also it may feel like you're required to be extra creative on a day-to-day basis at work. I like the 29th and the 30th of June, Pisces, because it almost feels like you're finding a way to bring a creative idea into the 3D material reality. Or after a lot of effort, after a lot of like racking your brains, a lot of kind of like pushing through maybe like fears and mental resistance, you're finding a way to give shape, tangible shape, concrete shape to something that existed only in your vision or your imagination. It could also feel like after a lot of effort on a topic that has something to do with your children, if you've got kids, it feels like you finally understand how to manage maybe that challenging topic, or it feels like you have overcome that challenging issue connected with children. You could also feel very proud of your achievements and accomplishments when it comes to the impact that you've had on the life of your children, Pisces. So a big kind of like win, a big round of applause for you on that front. Be gentle with yourselves this month, my dear Pisces, because I do feel like you're all kind of like go, and you've got a lot on your plate. The end of the month is beautiful. Take the time to rest if you can, because you've earned this rest time. Folks, thank you once again for joining me for your monthly horoscopes. Don't forget that if you want to work with me, you can find me on my website. My website is writteninthestars-astrology.com. You can go straight to the services section. And again, if you are a first-time client, you can go straight to the 1 hour, 15 minutes live Zoom consultation option. If you're an existing client, you also have the option to go for the year ahead forecast, which is 1 hour long, or the 30 minutes follow-up consultation if you've got specific questions or topics that you want us to address, following on from a prior session, from a prior consultation. You can also find me on Instagram at RuxUnbelievable, where I post regular updates and also life updates. So if you're interested in that, and if this content is useful, You can also leave a thanks. You can leave a donation using the thanks button underneath the video. It means a lot, and it tells me that this content that I'm creating is valuable to you. Enjoy June, and let us know in the comments how this month plays out for you.